Hey, wow.
Howdy.
I didn't realize it was really going to happen. Is it really happening? Is this really happening?
I believe so.
Is this really happening right now?
Well, it could be on another timeline. Are you manifesting? Are you manifesting in the here and now, or are you manifesting yesterday?
You keep talking about that other time zone. It is happening in the one true time zone. But
that's
what
true.
do you call your favorite little strange idea about time over there out east?
Well, I just figure every time I talk to you, it's like time travel. So that's,
Yeah. You call it real time.
We just got to work out a way to get the lotto numbers to me, before they draw them, and we'll be all set.
So the State of the Union. So, one thing I just spotted recently, HBO, for some reason, every time I turn on HBO, they have Bill Maher in my top hits of things to watch, and I haven't watched Bill Maher for 10 years. And then when I want to watch, I watch John Oliver religiously, and every time I want to watch John Oliver, I have to go type it in order to find it. They will not recommend it to me, no matter how many times I watch it. Yet they recommend Bill Maher every goddamn week. It's like, why are you recommending something I don't watch? I don't get it. And it almost makes you wonder if they're trying to usher John Oliver out and Bill Maher, make him. They give him precedence in their algorithm, which I think is pretty shitty. But anyway, Bill Maher he actually had Brett Weinstein on his broadcast, and he was talking to him about vaccines and crap like that. And like, what the fuck? I mean, it's like there's these fringe guys. Like Bill Maher, there's a lot I like about what he does. I love his what is it called? New Rules, thing that he does. I mean, it's funny as hell, and it's very, very poignant. And there's some other stuff that I like about him, but he's got these little fringe things. And we were just discussing Sam Harris and his, like, he's got a lot of great shit he talks about, and then all of a sudden he goes off on, he says something that just is indefensible, and Sam Harris says it because his mind has somehow logicked him into this spot, right? Whereas Bill Maher does it because Bill Maher's got a little bit of negative energy going on there that he's directing with people. But I can't believe that he actually had Brett Weinstein on, and Brett Weinstein.
I can. He talked to Candace Owens. Are you kidding me?
Oh my God. Like, what the fuck? It's like, I'm going to do it anyway. I guess
he did. He did push back against Candace Owens. She was denying the moon landings, and she said something like, if we went to the moon, why didn't we go back? And something in his head clicked. He was smart enough to know. He said, I think we went back like, a dozen times, or a dozen people, right. Or half a dozen times with a dozen people, or something like that, number.
And why didn't we do it again? Because the Republicans cut funding to NASA. They weren't going to pay for it. That costs a lot of money.
And, for what gain? I mean, we went there, again, what, half dozen times or whatever the number is. And, we picked up some rocks and we put our flag there and looked around, and it's like, okay, I mean, what's, they keep talking, especially Elon, about putting people on the moon, and it's like, but for what purpose, right? I mean, you're talking about a lot of money for what? Just to be on the moon? It's like, there has to be a bigger plan, there has to be, is there going to be a moon base, something like that, instead of just putting people on the ground just to walk around and stick a flag down?
That is what we're working on right now. We're working on the idea that, would it be good to have a moon base? I think we could probably put telescopes. I don't know how that would work, but a telescope on the moon would be, I don't know, advantageous. No atmosphere to go through. What the hell? What happened to that? Okay, ChatGPT. I was gonna mention something that just
And I just want to say real quick, somebody sent me a picture today of Bigfoot giving the finger, and I was like, all hail Bigfoot. You know what I happen to be wearing today? Is my t-shirt with Bigfoot giving the finger. I mean, what are the odds of that happening? It has to be a true miracle right from Bigfoot. It has to be.
That has to be definitely from Bigfoot. So Jay Patrick just did, I'm never sure if I pronounced that right either, but I like Patrick. He just did a thing on Praise I Am. I just put a link out, a little short. Did you watch?
I didn't watch it yet. I saw it in the queue though.
Should we watch it here?
Sure.
He's in the chat.
You said it was short, didn't you?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, but he just.
As long as it ain't no Jordan Peterson crap. And I looked at that Jordan Peterson thing a little bit the other night on the Night Watch. And, and then YouTube gave me a check mark, not a copyright thing, just a little check mark, you know.
You're kidding? Huh?
Yeah, and
wow.
And I'm like, really? I was like, I just used a couple of little clips, you know. So I said, all right. I said, I took out the audio because the one clip had some music. So I said, look, so I used the tool. I took out the audio. I said, there's no more music or anything. And otherwise, I think just looking at the clips is under fair use. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you can only run it for like 10 seconds or something like that. So, and
yeah, I mean, you can run, you know, longer than that as long as you're, you know, commenting and breaking it up and, you know, altering it in some way. As long as you just don't run it without doing anything. And I mean, I comment all the time. So
I saw Jay in the chat, and he should come in here and defend why he put that offensive video out about picking on poor Praise. I mean, picking on Praise is kind of like kicking a puppy. Isn't it?
I mean,
Praise I Am.
Yeah.
It's like kicking a puppy, but it's a puppy that everybody wants to see kicked, you know?
It's like, speaking of puppies, Praise always sounds like his dog just got ran over.
He does.
You know, he's always like, oh, gee, do we have to talk about Jesus? Oh, man, not today.
Yeah, it's a puppy that everybody wants to see.
That tone he has, it cracks me up every time. It's like.
Okay, we got Poor Claire here. We have Chris Moore. Hello, Chris Moore. We have Tilting Windmill. We have Izzo Teddy Bear. Shaken Fist. Last Frybender. Command Cyborg. Who else we got? Wow, what's going on?
Hello, everybody.
We're going to have to come up with something to say, you know. And we're just doing this because I haven't done a stream for so long, and I just have this pressure in my head, you know, and it has to come out of my mouth. Oh, there's Iron Man.
You know, Bread's back at it with her Bring It Evolutionist challenges. It's pretty hysterical. It showed up in my feed. And, give me your best evidence for evolution, so I can write it down on my notepad. She's got her notepad, and it's like.
So we have an Iron Man.
Yes.
Hello. Oh, you?
I never laughed so. Yes, it's me, Midnight.
Hey, Midnight.
Oh my God, Iron Man seems so antithetical to everything that you are.
What does that mean?
I'm sorry. I just haven't thought of you. I haven't thought of you as Iron Man. I've been watching Game of Thrones, and I think you'd get your ass kicked in 5 minutes on Game of Thrones. You know?
The way I am now, sure, but
okay, yeah.
But
when you get swole.
Hey, you mock me, but it will happen.
Oh, I hope so. I really hope so. You need to do that before you're 50 for fucking sure. Like everybody.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. If when I turned 40, I was starting to get chubby and, you know, like just flabby as hell, and I just went into taekwondo and weightlifting, and that's the only fucking reason why I'm alive today, is because I spent 10 years bodybuilding, right? Prior to that, I was pretty skinny, and I don't know if I hadn't done that. You got to do that, man.
But
You get 50.
Getting back on the topic of this video, even though it's
Which
probably
one?
not praise.
State of the Union.
Yeah, State of the I watched Jay. That was the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. Praise getting pissed off at the AI for giving. And the ending got me. You have strong opinions about this. Because he told the AI to shut up. It was so fucking funny. You guys seen the show, right? It was hilarious. Oh my god. No comment?
I was
I
waiting to
can't-
see it. Mike said he was going to play it, maybe.
Oh, you didn't watch it yet.
I haven't seen it yet. And,
Oh, well,
Chris in the chat asking about my pond, and I dropped the link for my pond page. You want to take a look? There's a recent video, and yeah, my pond is very green.
honestly, I needed something to laugh at today. Thank you, Jay. Oh, it's like I feel bad for laughing because it's phrase, as Mike said, it's like kicking a puppy, a very retarded puppy, but a puppy nonetheless. Oh my god, you're muted, Mike.
Chit chat. So the State of the Union. So Erica and Tompkins and who the hell is it? Carter? Is he the other one? They're going back and forth on this human chimp genome, or 99%, or 99.8%, or 85% similar, that sort of thing. There's a lot going on there, and it's
Click on Robin's comment real quick, would you? She
What's up, Joe? What's up, Joe? Where's
Robin?
Oh.
Robin gifted a captive desk membership.
Oh, how do I sign up for that? So what happens if you have a membership, the person that gifts them has to pay like $1 a month forever and ever and ever?
No, it's just for a month.
Just for a month. Oh, okay. So you
Yeah.
get a membership for a month. Okay.
Yeah, yep. You get a membership for a month. Yep.
But I mean, like, people
And,
would give me money. You people out there, would you give me money?
You got it. You got it. Yeah, you gotta.
Because if they're going to give me money, I want them to start doing it because I really need money.
Yeah, people. I mean, if you do enough content, and especially if like doing stuff like this where you interact with people, and folks have different gimmicks too. Different things. You had to get super chats and stuff, and well, of course, like if you're on the debate channels, they always go super chats first, right? Yeah, Robin. I'm streaming with Mike, so I don't have my thing up on here, but
yeah, I got to put
you rock, whichever way I'm pointing. There we go. You rock, and I will play a Bigfoot song, You Rock video, Saturday, for that. I owe you one. I just don't have it up here on because I'm streaming on Mike's channel.
Oh boy, you're going to accumulate debt. You're going to have to play like 20 of them in a row.
Hey, I will not forget. I will hook Robin up with her song. No problem.
Okay, let me see. I'm going to your live. I have to put a link for your.
Are you gonna play your short?
I haven't gotten permission from Jay.
Yeah, you did
Let's
actually.
Oh, he did. Okay. Let me do it. But let me take care of business first. Business.
So, Captain's
Okay.
Desk, how you been, babe?
I'm good, Midnight. How you doing?
I am better. I am better than I used to be. I know that.
Trying to find my thing.
Try to watch both of us. I always
We're trying to get
put,
it together here.
Yeah, I always try to put your stream up and my stream and hit likes on both of them and give us as many views as we can possibly get because I want people to give me money.
Here you go, Mike. Drop this for me real quick.
Here you go, Mike, and as in you're giving me money, or no? What?
Yeah, I'll pay you for it.
Okay.
Put my video up real quick.
What video?
That I'm sharing.
You're sharing a video? Oh, there you are. Okay.
Down on the bottom there. Hit that real quick for Robin.
You rock, let's rock with the fire in our veins. Rock on till the skies, till the thunder and rain. All hail Bigfoot, the legend, the king. He walks among shadows, the wild spirits sing.
No, you're not accumulating debt, which is good.
There you go. Thank you, Rob, and you rock. And yeah, see, Mike, I mean, wouldn't you pay 99 cents for that? I mean, that is worth 99 cents, isn't it? Just, I mean, that video rocks, doesn't it?
Yeah. So do you. So does Mike. So does me.
And one thing I came across is if you aren't getting gift memberships, you want to click on the channel's join button, and there's a box under there that allows you to get or not get gifted memberships. So, folks, if you never got one, you might want to check the box on the channel. It's one of those things that gets checked or unchecked, and you don't know how or why, right? So, yeah, just so you know, yeah, that's how it works. They pick them at random, but yeah, you got to have that thing set there, or
yeah,
or
and I haven't found that thing anywhere. I looked all over my YouTube channel for that thing, and I could not find that thing.
And Robin just gifted another one. Mike, you got to hit my song again.
Is your song still there? So where is that thing,
still there.
Dave? You keep talking about this thing I got to check, and I can't find the thing.
It
You rock, let's rock with the fire in our veins. Rock on till the skies, till the thunder rain. All hail Bigfoot, the legend, the king. He walks among shadows, the wild spirits sing.
$1.99. Yeah,
Costs $1.99.
it's $1.99.
No. Oh no. Okay, remove. Okay. So now I got one I want to share. How about that? Let's share
Yeah,
that.
there it is.
Yeah, right under the video on the channel that you're watching, you know, right under the video, there's the join button, right? And that's how you become a channel member. Just click on that button. Don't worry, it's not going to do anything to charge you anything. Just click on that, and when you open it up, there's a box in there that says receive gift memberships or something like that, and it has to be turned on or off, whichever way it goes.
Oh, okay.
It's just one of the things I came across, and I just want to tell everybody that, you know, that might be one of the things. Otherwise, yeah, it does it at random.
I'm going to try that.
And Robin, you rock.
Okay. Jay,
Hey,
we're going
Jay.
to play your video. We're going to play your video. Should we play it all the way through? How long is
It's only
it?
a minute.
Okay, here we go. We're playing.
A liberal bot. What do you think about abortion?
And don't have personal beliefs or opinions. I can share information on various perspectives if you'd like, though. Want me to summarize or explain different viewpoints on the topic?
Not really.
All right, got it.
Can you show the harmful effects of two same-sex parents and give real-life examples of how children have been affected by the same-sex parents? Go ahead.
Actually, research shows that children of same-sex parents fare just as well as those with opposite-sex parents. The American Psychological Association, for instance, finds no evidence that parenting effectiveness is related to sexual orientation. Children can thrive in loving and supportive environments, regardless of the parents' genders.
It's showing though that it's more natural to have a male and a female parent, and it's been detrimental in many cases that a child wants a father and a mother, not two mothers or two fathers.
Many hold different views on family structure, but research consistently shows that
Shut your mouth!
it sounds like you have strong feelings about this topic.
If you're a liberal bot, what do you think about abortion?
Oh
You
my
can stop
god.
it. You can.
Oh my
yeah.
god. What-
Yeah, he got owned by Microsoft Copilot. This is why we
That
can't
is
have.
just sad.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, right.
That's pretty good.
I
If the
saw
AI
that.
takes over,
I
if
saw it
the AI
last.
takes over, go ahead, sorry.
I saw it last night, and I went, "Oh, I'm making a short out of that." That's
Oh, nice,
he
nice.
got
eh?
fucking-
Praise is the first one to go when the AI takes over. You don't mean to shut up? Well, now it's
Brett-
time.
Yeah,
Well, there's-
Brett Keene's fat ass decides to fucking. I'm gonna introduce praise to fucking Microsoft Copilot.
Yeah.
Brett did it on purpose. The kid knew what was gonna happen. Like, god
I'm like,
damn,
wait.
Brett.
As soon as I heard it, I was like, oh, I gotta stay and just listen to this. And then that happened. I was like, oh, I'm recording that shit.
Uh,
I'm
He
making a
didn't
fucking
like what he
short
was
out of that. No, he didn't like that at all. Actually, oh. And then he goes detrimental because kids prefer, it's more natural. You know, the kids prefer that. I'm like,
oh yeah, the
Praise
kid.
you,
Yeah.
praise you ignorant fuck. Just because the kids prefer it doesn't mean it's necessarily detrimental. Learn how to logic, you dumb fucking hick.
And
I
like
love
you
the
know,
AI's
if you're
response at the end. I can tell you have strong feelings about it.
if you're a month old, I mean, do you really have a preference? You know?
Exactly. Yeah, it's like the kids like, oh well, kids prefer it at what age? When they
Yeah,
start to prefer when they prefer kicks over tricks because kicks are just what kids like. Come on, fuck off.
The fuck?
Yeah.
That was the funniest
That
thing
point to
ever.
where, well, hey Mikey, he likes it. Go to that whole life cereal
Yeah,
bucket.
yeah.
This is
Yep.
what Mikey likes, so this is what's not detrimental to Mikey. Fucking idiot. What a fucking douchebag.
Yeah.
Every once in a while I'll go over there and I'll just kind of like glean through and just find something and be like, oh, this one's fun. I'm gonna do a short actually here pretty soon of his death threat to me from years ago. That's gonna be fun.
Oh. Guy, I've been trying to I recorded this video of John Maddox threatening somebody on Praise's channel. I can't remember who it was. And he was
one of 10.
Oh, but he was just really angry, and he was just
Mhm.
saying
I don't know what
he's
happened.
going to go over there and kill him. And
He's
oh my
threatened.
God.
He's threatened praise.
I think it was Praise, yeah, that he was threatening, and it was just
Yeah, he got
unbelievable.
They got onto well, they had a really heated argument one time because Praise was into that whole serpent seed doctrine shit. I think that's what they were discussing. And,
Right,
and,
right.
and Maddox just wasn't having it. He's just
Yeah.
you stupid fucking idiot.
Oh God, he was going nuts.
Yeah, and I was just like, this is, and I'm like, yep, here it is. And then I think I did like 2 images of like a Pac-Man eating another Pac-Man. Just,
Yeah. Oh shit.
gobble, 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 gobble.
Yeah. And speaking of John Maddox, he really disappeared suddenly, didn't he?
The last video I saw of him, he was doing a video out in the middle of a field, and I'm like,
Right.
what the fuck are you doing, you goofball?
He was trying to do the street epistemology thing with Chris.
Yeah, and he was set up in a like an open field
A
or
field.
something like that.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm like, he's like, so far I haven't had anybody show up. I'm like,
Yeah.
why don't
didn't
you
have
get one of
anybody-
those?
Yeah.
Why don't you get one of those big fucking inflatable flappy things with the fucking, hey, come beat on me for 10 minutes
Oh,
or whatever.
Do they have an inflatable floppy Jesus? Can
That
you-
would be fun. That would be funny.
Oh, somebody's got to have one of those. I mean, that would be for my revival, for my revival. And then they, of course the atheists would need an inflatable floppy Satan. But anyway, I think Maddox was I think he was grifting, and he was planning on making money on YouTube, and it didn't pan out. And then he tried that one thing as his last effort, and then he was done. And he has completely disappeared from LinkedIn. He used to have a link. Well, he still has a page, but he just completely disappeared. And if you look at his LinkedIn page, his whole thing is grift. Try to,
Well,
try to put together. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, sorry, not that. Yeah, I by the way he was talking in the last video that I had watched from him, I started wondering if he was if something might have been, because I know he had a years ago he had an aneurysm.
Oh.
And because
Yeah.
that was part of like his conversion, or part of like
Right,
what
right.
like drew him closer to Jesus, was because he had an aneurysm and he wasn't supposed to be alive anymore and all this.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, I'm like, is he possibly having another like brain issue that's going on? Because the way he was talking wasn't
Normal.
as coherent as best you could say as he normally would be. It seemed a little bit off, and I was like, I think he might not be feeling so well. And then after that, there was nothing. But I think I did see him though a little bit later. I think I did see him show up in Praise's channel, and they talk. So I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Haven't seen him recently. I was like, hey, God, how quickly we forget the people on YouTube,
Thanks for the link, Deacon Averted Man. That's pretty funny.
Oh, there's another link. Let's see. Amazon Diabolical Jesus. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Deconverted Man.
Hey Wes, how you doing?
So I still been trying to I was talking to Melpass on Simus's channel, and I wasn't entirely sure that was him. But we had a nice little conversation about philosophy and truth, and I've been trying to get Simos to have me on to talk more about my crazy ideas about naturalism. And I haven't been able to get him to do that because Simos never reads his fucking email. Okay, I'm trying to find
you have to. It's better to try to get a hold of Simos through Discord.
Yeah, and I don't Discord. I think Discord sucks ass. It's too busy. It's just got too much shit.
Yeah,
it's too busy.
It is an ADHD nightmare. Yes, it is.
It is, and I got to figure things out, and I got enough shit to figure out in my life. Okay, I'm trying to find this Deconverted Man thing. Open like a new tab. Oh, there's a diabolical inflatable Jesus. Oh my God, they've actually got one. Let's see if I can pop it up. Diabolical inflatable Jesus. Oh, let's see. We got to get it. It's only $21. Should I do it? I could put it in my yard on Christmas and shit. Except he'd freeze to death in Minnesota. The thing would get it would just condense. $21. Okay, religious gifts, party festival, Easter gifts. What? Why is it diabolical? I mean, if it's a Christian gift, why is it diabolical?
Does it not look like that the Jesus is kind of set up in the pose where you ever see that dance move where the person puts their arms out to their side and they do that shimmy with their chest like that?
Yeah.
It kind of looks like that Jesus is going to be doing that, like shaking his man boobs kind of thing.
I don't know. He kind of looks like a sex toy to me, like a sex doll. He's all glistening and stuff. I don't know. That's just the impression I get. I wonder if he is. Maybe let me
There's
read.
There's nothing like a
no. There's nothing about that.
There's nothing like a freshly lubed Jesus. What do you prefer, Sally? I like a good freshly lubed Jesus.
Who
Bathtub or hot tub doesn't matter. It's for all occasions.
Oh, yeah. I guess it's
So
hot
bad.
tub safe. It says hot tub safe. So
One time I got confused when the landscaper came over and he said his name was Jesus.
oh my goodness. So anyway, what else is going on? Austin Sims did a little video on the probability of protein evolution. And I've been going back and forth with this guy called Ken USA or something like that. Is it Ken USA? Let's see, what the hell is it? Oh, where is he? It's Ken Jackson _US.text. And he's been talking about he had a little probability, back of the envelope probability calculation, which is kind of the same as that 99% similarity with chimpanzees. I mean, if you want to come up with a formula to come up with some number, and if you'd like that number to be low or high, all you got to do is mess with the formula a little bit, and you can get it, you can nudge it any way you want. And it is all so much bullshit. And yet there are guys like this guy who is absolutely convinced that he has disproven evolution by sitting down with an envelope-sized calculation and a number 2 pencil, and he's basically destroyed evolution by doing this calculation about how long it would take for a protein to evolve. And
Okay.
what's that?
Okay. What did he get to? Sorry.
He got to it would take I don't know, like a trillion times 14 billion years or something like that, and it's just it's yeah. Well, here's his calculation. Where the hell is it here?
I just saw a video. There's a video on Matt Dillahunty's channel where he was on with Gutsick Gibbon. And I tell you, and it was specifically about like her being like she talks about like young Earth creationist kind of things. That lady is on it.
Yeah, she is.
I mean, I'm like, holy shit, that lady's got it. She's got it together. That's just all that shit clicks.
Here we go. So here he says, here it is. Read it and weep. What if I can make it big? How do I make things big again? I forgot. Nope. that's not how I-
Solo layout for yours.
The square
Oh,
in
okay.
your thumb down.
Yeah, okay. I always forget that. Okay. So a protein is a chain of particular amino acid molecules in a specific order. Most proteins are longer than 100 amino acids. Some are 1,000. There are 20 different amino acids, so you do, what is it? 20 to the whatever power, 20 to the 100th power, if you want to figure out how many different 100 amino acid length proteins there are. Okay, and so the first thing he does is he comes up with, we have a population so enormous that there are well over 2 trillion reproductions per day in equilibrium with the same number of deaths per day. Okay, right there.
We have the same number of deaths per day.
Yeah, it's in equilibrium. Basically, the same number of animals die as are created. I mean, it's it's a ballpark, right? So he's making assumptions. But look at his number there: 2 trillion reproductions per day. So on the surface of the ocean right now, there are 10 to the 30th small single-celled animals, prokaryotes, I think alone. There are 10 to the 30th power. 2 trillion is 2 times 10 to the 12th. Okay. So he's that wrong at the beginning, right? Because there are that many, and a lot of these prokaryotes, these single-celled organisms, divide once a day or more. They're capable of it. On average, you could say once a week. And so in a year, you've got 26 times 10 to the 30th. Just reproductions going on out there. And then, for animals and all the animals and plants and everything on land, you'd probably end up with something like 10 to the 12th. You might end up with 2 trillion reproductions per year If you look at all the animals, no, you'd end up with more than that. Quadrillions, I think. Anyways, way the hell off on that. So, but it doesn't matter because this isn't how it works. He's thinking, and I keep trying to tell him, and he keeps saying, "Oh, you're not reading what I said. You're not reading what I said." Now, for a protein to evolve, you don't start out with one amino acid. You pick an amino acid out of 20, right, randomly. And then you add another one, you pick another one out of 20 randomly. And then you keep doing that until you get to 100 amino acids. And then you say, oh, now I'm going to apply natural selection and see if this protein works. That's not how it happens. Do you understand that? That's not how it happens? There were, in the beginning, okay, like say after abiogenesis clicked, and we had single-celled organisms that could reproduce out in the ocean, there were probably something in the neighborhood of 10 to the 40th of those little suckers out there filling the ocean, basically, in all these different niches and stuff. And every one of them would have probably a unique genome associated with it. So you'd have 10 to the 40 different genomes with probably in the early days, the proteins were fragments and a lot shorter. And there were probably thousands of them per organism that were basically being reproduced and tried out. And so there was a unbelievable pool of proteins to start from. And what happened is over time, that got narrowed down to the point where today we have 20,000 proteins in the human genome, roughly, right? And those, 20,000 genes for proteins. And because some genes will actually produce different kinds of proteins, I think it has been estimated that there's about 100,000 in humans or whatever. But out of those, a whole lot of those are families of proteins that are obviously related. So you remember Sal Cordova's zinc fingers? There are about 700,
with dipping sauce.
There are 700 of them, right? There are a couple of hundred cadherins that basically make your cells stick together. There are, I think there's 800 collagens that, make up your bones and all of that stuff. So there's these big families of proteins where the protein is obviously related and it evolves. But then now at a finer level, inside of a protein, like if you imagine a protein as being a big machine out in your garage, like a huge machine that you bought to do some activity, something, right? And there's these. I wish I knew more about machine shops. I don't. But in that machine, you'll have various parts of it. Like you'll have maybe a cutter, like a little part of it that does the cutting, and you can turn it on a screw and you can turn a rod into a screw with it, right? And that little piece does something, right? And that's called a domain. Well, proteins have, if your machine had one of those cutters, and then along with that, it had a bunch of levers that you could tighten up and whatever, and move it in different positions. And then it had a motor, and then it had a guide, and then it had a shield, and a whole bunch of little parts, right, that you could move into different positions. So with this one machine, you could do a whole lot of different, functions and create a whole lot of different things.
Oh, okay.
Well, anyway, these little parts of the protein, they can be 20 amino acids. They can be 6 amino acids long. Normally they're 20 to 100. They're called domains. Okay. So there's all of these domains in proteins, and they make up the proteins. And these domains just happen to line up with exons in the genome, so that when a genome reproduces, it can do what's called domain shuffling. So you could take this machine that you have in the garage, and you could take a bunch of parts from it and put it into another machine and make an entirely new machine very quickly by just taking 3 or 4 parts from one machine, plugging them into another machine, because that's how proteins work. There's this possibility of duplication, of domain shuffling, and a bunch of other things. And every now and then, one of those domains will get copied, and then it will mutate to the point where it locks into something else. And then you have a whole new domain. You have a whole new cutting tool. So that would be like creating a new cutting tool from an older one. And this sort of thing happens all of the time in evolution. And that's how proteins evolved. And you're going to end up with proteins that are homologous to other proteins. And when you, no matter what protein you pick, if you go out to the databases and you search, you will find homology all the way down to single-celled prokaryotic organisms. Does that make sense? You have questions about that, or so it's not amino acid at a time, and there is no big target protein. Like one protein can be mutated hundreds and hundreds of times and still have the same function.
I'm curious. Can you send me that Ken Jackson text? Can you post a link to that in the private chat so I can like?
I got it as a text file. I can send. I can email it to you.
Yeah. When you get a chance, do that. I'd be curious to run it through lot 3.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll email it to. But you can also read it on. If you go to Austin Sims channel, is there any chance I can get you to give me a link for that, Dave?
On Austin's link?
Yeah, to that latest video that he did. That sort of thing. Yeah, you can read the original conversation if you select newest first, and you'll have.
So that's part of a. So that's part of a conversation comment that they're having on a comment thread.
Yeah, that I'm having with him, basically. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He wrote all that in a comment thread.
He wrote, well, I wrote a lot too, so this is my comment. So right here is my comment.
I got you.
So, yeah, and then Ken says, and then he sent me another amazing book length comment this morning. Why in the hell does that keep happening? Book length comment this morning.
What? You want Austin's improbability video?
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
You know, you don't have to save them like that. You can actually save them as a printed PDF.
Yeah, I know. Wait a minute. The comments?
Yeah, if you highlight all of it and then you right click and you hit print, you can do it as a PDF and it will it'll print it as a PDF screen of everything that's on there. So it'll show, so you can screen share the whole PDF and it will show it exactly as it is on YouTube.
Is there any way to get it to expand everything at the same time?
Oh yeah, you just have to go through. So you have to go through all of it and click on more so that it expands every right. Because sometimes when you go in, it'll have like they'll be abbreviated and you have to click on more to kind of open them up. So you have to make sure they're all opened up, go through all of it, open them all up, and then you just highlight all of it from normally I think it works better if you go from bottom to top. Get to where you want it, and then you right click and you hit print, and when your print screen comes up on Windows, you can print it as a PDF, as a Microsoft PDF, and it will print that whole thing as it is, just like that.
Yeah. There's something else I just discovered. What the hell was it? Oh, Wikipedia? You can print any one of those pages as a PDF, and I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I've been creating my own PDFs out of those by going to Word and then converting it. What an idiot. If you click up in the right hand corner, you can print any Wikipedia page to a PDF. Mm-hmm. And I did not know this because I'm old and weak. That's why. Weak-minded. Anyway, but I'm working on a Python program to pull all the comments from a video. By the way, Jay, you might like this, and I'm not going to do this for everybody, but if you have a channel where you want all of the transcripts, I can get you basically a zip file with every transcript on that channel. I download them automatically.
Oh, normally what I do is I just click on the transcript and then toggle out the timestamps, and then I can actually copy and paste the whole thing depending on how it is, read it, go through it, divide out who says what to whoever. And then it's funny because I've done this as just like an exercise in just boredom, and then went here, Chat GPT, have fun with this conversation, and it went, that person's an idiot.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Like, that person doesn't know what they're talking about. The other person's making some decent points, but they made some mistakes here, blah blah blah, and it's kind of funny. It's kind of fun when
Yeah,
you do
every
it.
time.
But you have to. But sometimes you have to. I did it with a conversation between Joel Sedekase and Peter DeTucker. Gonna go for it, and I wanted to see how well it would sort it out. It did okay, but it fucked up a few.
Yeah.
It made a few of Peter's. It made a few of Joel's Peters and a few of Peter's Joel's. So I was like, "Oops, yep, it can mess that up," because those transcripts are auto-generated. They're not very specific, so it's up to the AI to kind of try to. They've got to try to sort it out based on context and wording and all that kind of stuff. So it gets a little weird.
Yeah. So I've got a Ruby program that takes those. You can copy that transcript into a text file, and it converts it into. What it does is gets rid of most of the timestamps. It gives you a timestamp every minute or so, and then it formats it so you can plug it into a Google Doc. But then I wrote a Python program to go out and get I went out and got every transcript on Erica's channel, and what you can do is put it in a directory. So you've got all the transcripts. I did it for my channel, and if I want to search for something like some keyword or key phrase, you can go out to a Linux shell or a command prompt, and you can grep it, and you can find anything across all your videos. Because if you're like me, doing this you've been doing this for years. If you want to find some little thing that you mentioned a long time ago, you don't want to look through all your videos and try to find it, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I will do that for friends. I don't have it in user interface form, so I kind of have to run it and set it up for you. But it's a nice little piece, and I would never give it to believers. I would always do it for atheists.
Well, if you notice what some of the believers that we know of, how they utilize AI, it doesn't work out so well for them, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I noticed that just now. I just noticed that.
Oops. I want to know like the detrimental effects of same-sex parenting. Like, show me what that is.
Yeah.
Actually,
Well, according to statistics, yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
You shut your mouth. Like, yeah, I don't think he was being that serious about it, but it was still funny. I was like, yeah, it's still gonna work.
Oh, that is funny. Yeah.
I still like the fact that in parts of Oklahoma they turned the word shown into a 2-syllable word. It's showing. And he's not the only one that does it. His sister does the same thing. Olive does the same thing. She'd say showing. So I don't know if that's like a regional thing down there or what, but they'll say showman. I've already shown that. Yeah, they won't say shown or it's already been shown. They'll say showman.
Or showing?
Showing. Yeah, instead of saying shown, SHOWN, they'll say showing. They'll convert it to showing.
Yeah, I think we do that up north where I come from, and we do similar things. Like we'll say go to show, or we'll get loan and go show. We're gonna go show. We're gonna go show. That means go to the movie.
Oh,
I don't know. Yeah, there's all sorts of little idiosyncrasies like that. That
is it soda or pop?
No, it's pop.
Oh, you're in that part. Oh yeah, he's in that part. Yeah.
I went down to Texas, and they when I was a teenager, I was like 15, and they said, "You want a soda water?" And I said, "Fuck no, I don't want soda in my water." It's like
you want to go halves on a pie.
So it's like when I was dating a girl up in upstate New York, and she goes, "Do you?" And she goes, "Do you want a pop?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll take a pop." And she goes, and I said, "Yeah, if you got Pepsi, that'd be great." And she kind of looked at me confused. She goes, "Okay." And then she went to the freezer and pulled out a popsicle. And gave me a popsicle. And I was like, "That no, I want a fucking Pepsi."
A Pepsi popsicle.
And she goes, "Oh, that's right. You're from Michigan. You say pop." And I'm like, and then from years from being in New York and now being here in California, I very rarely ever call it pop anymore. I call it soda. Because nobody understands what the fuck you're talking about.
I say soda pop, so I got it covered.
Yeah, like parts of the South, they'll just say Coke. Like where my uncle, who's
Yeah.
from Alabama, or he's originally from Michigan, but he lived in Alabama for a long time. He goes, yeah, everything's just down there. It's not pop or soda. It's just Coke. You want a Coke? And it can be a Sprite. It can be a 7-Up. It can be a Coke. It can be
Oh,
a Pepsi,
wow.
but it's just Coke. They just call it a Coke. Yeah, what do you want? Yeah, I want a Pepsi. Okay, I'll get you a Coke. And they're like, no, I asked for a Pepsi. Yeah, I'm getting you a Coke. It's fucking retarded.
Yeah, we are.
I do have an interesting theological conversation where I utilized AI in having a conversation with Praise, and he didn't do so well.
No.
He actually he kind of got himself into a little bit of a long story short, we don't have to go into it. But it was funny because he was refuting. He's been obsessed with Justin from Deconstruction Zone. And for those who aren't familiar with Justin of Deconstruction Zone, he's a former pastor. He's a devout Christian. He's deconverted from the Christian faith. He went to seminary school and all that. And he runs Deconstruction Zone and DZ debates, and he runs like an open call-in thing. People call in, he talk and challenge on these particular theological conversations. You know, slavery in the Bible, the prophecies of Jesus, and all that shit. And there was a video that apparently Praise took objection to, and so he decided to do kind of like a little snazzy kind of like AI misrepresentation of what Justin was saying. And essentially what Praise was trying to say is like, when you read this particular part in the Bible, the way that the semantics work, God isn't actually doing anything actively. It's a passive thing, right?
Okay.
So God's not actually causing something to happen. He's just basically stepping away from that. He's basically removing his quote unquote, and you may have heard this apologetic before, removing his hedge of protection or removing his protection
Right.
from the individual so that it allows them to fall into some kind of, you know, fucked up state because God's no longer, you know, keeping shit from like slamming them. And it was funny. So I decided I would just throw something out there about, because he was talking about 2 Samuel 12, and it was about this prophecy about David's wives being raped by Absalom. And then later on, but later in that same chapter, it talks about how David's kid, who he fathered with Uriah, with Bathsheba, who was the wife of Uriah, the guy that he, you know, sent to the front lines so that he could die, so that David could take Bathsheba. The first kid that he had with her was stricken with illness and killed. And in the NRSVUE translation, it says God struck the child with illness and the baby died, right? Well, Praise tried to utilize that same kind of like tactic, right? This whole idea that, oh, it's not God actively doing anything, it's God passively taking away the hedge of protection. And in the course of the conversation, he basically got to the point where he said it didn't matter. It didn't matter if God killed someone outright or removed his hedge of protection. It's all good anyway. So I'm like, what the fuck is your point then? Then you just rendered your whole thing moot.
Yep.
You're sitting there trying to say, well, Justin doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, because in order to be honest with everything, it's actually passive. It's not active. But actually under scholarship in the, what do they call it, the Hiffle. So if you're looking at like from a literary critique under the actual ancient Hebrew, it's that the Hiffle or the stance of these words is actually in the active case, not a passive case or a permissive case. So it was really kind of funny to watch him try to, and I'm like, so I'm like asking ChatGPT, like, where do they get this from? And it gives me an entire list of like a list of like 4 or 5 people who actively kind of engage in this. And one name really stood out, Paul Copan. And I'm like, yeah, Copan. These guys draw a lot. Paul Copan is an apologist. He's a Christian apologist. He's one of the ones that, when it came to the debate about the endorsement of slavery in the Old Testament, basically came up with the analogy about like NFL players.
What?
Yeah. So basically what you have going on in like Leviticus 25, when it talks about, as for your male and female slaves, those that you may purchase them from the nations around you. You may purchase them from the foreigners that reside amongst you.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So you can
And so
buy
what
in.
happens? Yeah. So what happens is that this is contractual. This is quote unquote contract language. Not saying that these people are being bought as property, but they're like NFL players. They're being
Right.
contracted for their work, right? And I'm like, then why does it say in Leviticus 25:39 to not treat Israelites that way?
Yeah, and it is a little bit different. You got to admit. I mean, slavery.
But he came up with it because it was a way of like basically, and in a way it implies that the translators didn't know how to fucking translate that shit properly, right? Because they always get into their own quote unquote hermeneutics. And then you ask them, like, you do realize that you're implying that the scholars that were basically working on these translations, who understand ancient Hebrew, ancient Greek, and all this kind of shit, you're essentially saying they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't actually know their job.
Wow.
You know better how to translate this stuff than they do. And then they go, oh, no, that's not how it works. I'm like, yes, it is. You're saying that the word slave there shouldn't be the word slave. You're saying that, no, you got to look at it in this historical context. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's the problem. We don't know that that's historically the case. The only thing that we can go on is the narrative. And the narrative is that God is telling Moses to tell the people that this is what they can do. But they always try to change it to a historic one. And it's really kind of funny.
Do they read those passages in your average sermon and Sunday in school in churches?
I didn't even know anything about that stuff until later on in life. And I was brought up. I mean, my dad read my brother and me the Bible from beginning to end for Bible study. We just kind of glossed over those sections. We never really even got into it that much. It was just kind of taken as like, well, that was the state of affairs at the time. So, that's what they just dealt with. And God was kind of like making these kind of stipulations, given the times and given the confusion of man and blah, 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 blah. And then once you get into a more theological approach or theological discussion, you go, yeah, but really, how did that come about ontologically in any kind of like, why is this the case in reality? Because God is the ontological primary.
Right.
Yeah, you get into that whole.
Yeah, if you want to make it real, you got to live with it being real. Yeah. I can't remember in my, when I was a little kid and my mom drugged me to this Presbyterian church, I can't remember them ever telling me about taking the little ones for yourselves and killing all the others and killing all the women that lay with men.
That's Leviticus. That's Leviticus, or not Leviticus, Numbers 31. So originally they were supposed to kill off all the Midianites, and the reason they were supposed to kill off all the Midianites was because of what happened back in like Numbers, earlier in Numbers, where the Israelites are like camped next to the Midianites, and some of the Israelites are like participating in some of the Midianite like religious things, right? That aren't those aren't kosher according to God, right? And so God strikes all of the Midianites with a plague. And so Israelites are suffering and dying and everything, and there's this one Israelite who's like got the hots for this Midianite, this daughter of a chieftain for the Midianites, and they're like, he's walking around with her and he's all proud and everything, and here comes Aaron's son, what was his name? Blanking on his name right now, Phineas. I think that's his name. And runs them through with a spear, kills them both. And God is proud of that action, and he cancels the plague.
Wow.
Plague is over because this guy, this son of Aaron, took it upon himself to rid the evil from the Israelites' sight. And okay, cool, everything's good. And then you go chapters later, and then there's this thing where God says, remember what happened with the Midianites? Go and kill them. And then they keep the women and children, right? And then they go and then Moses goes, and then Moses goes, well, what's with this? And they're like, oh, we decided to take captives. And he goes, no. You can keep the women you can take the young women who haven't been with men. So they killed all the kids. They killed infants and children as well. That that they killed male children. So the male
Yeah.
infants all died too. And then it
Yeah.
talks about how many they divvied out as plunder, how many this particular tribe got, how many the tribe of Levi got, and everything. It's a fun story. It's a really fun
Well, that was-
story. When you
Well, I got a question too. I mean, isn't God supposed to get a percentage of all those spoils?
Yeah, he should
No,
get
no.
us. Yeah.
Well,
Tithing.
what happens is the percentage goes to the tribe of Levi. The tribe of Levi is the priestly tribe, so they get that's where the tithe comes in.
Mhm.
That's where that percentage goes to. So there's a certain amount that's basically given to them because they're basically so the tribe of Levi didn't basically produce anything of their own, at least from what I was taught. They were scholars, the teachers, the librarians, and stuff like that. So that's where their tithe went, and their tithe was a 10% of their goods. Now, if they needed to give, for some reason, if somebody from the other tribe needed to give, they couldn't give 10% of their crop or 10% of their livestock or whatever they needed to submit. They could give it in the form of money or in gold or silver. I think it's in gold or silver. Either way, some monetary means. But to do that, there was an extra 5% added. So whenever you go to those churches where they talk about giving a 10% and you give 10% of your money or how much
Right.
you make, they're actually incorrect. Money is was taxed at 15%. The only way 10% worked is if you gave 10% of what you produced, like livestock, textiles, whatever, crop,
Slaves.
all that shit.
Yeah, spoils of
Yeah.
war.
Children.
Children.
Well, the thing is that it didn't seem like they actually did that with slaves, but they could get they could participate in the slave trade with other nations. They just didn't have their own slave trade. Their slave trade just happened within their own ranks as debt servants, but they could get those male and Hebrew slaves from nations around them. And if, like, you had a tenant farmer who needed to pay off a debt, they could sell their kids to you or whatever, and then they would become permanent property.
Now, what about spoils of war though? Were they taxed in any way, or?
No, they just had to basically make sure that they allotted a certain amount to the tribe of Levi.
Okay.
And that's actually mentioned in Numbers 31. It actually shows and specifically lays out how much the tribe of Levi is supposed to get, because that's basically the priestly guild.
Yeah.
So if their name ain't Levi, I ain't giving them nothing.
So they got to jump through a whole lot of hoops, basically, to justify the literalism in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure they do a little picking and choosing.
I remember one time I was having a conversation with Jill about this, and he kept talking about, we were talking about the slaughtering of the Amalekites, and then Jill kept talking about how the Amalekites, it was biological warfare. He was confusing the plague of Peor and the Midianites with the Amalekites. He didn't understand, like, he got the stories mixed up in his head. So he thought that the reason why the Israelites were going to kill all the Amalekites was because of biological warfare, or at least that was his apologetic. And it was like, no, you dipshit. That's the fucking Midianites in the plague of Peor back in Numbers. What are you doing? And I think to this day he still gets those ones confused. Because he's like, well, these, and I actually heard Joel Sedekase on a channel talk about the 2 Samuel 15:1, where it talks about the destruction of the Amalekites, and he gives some stupid ass, like, he gives this kind of like very generic, like, oh, it's because they were so flagrant in their unrighteousness and shit. And I said, it says right there, it says for what they did to the Israelites when they were coming out of fucking Egypt. It happened in Exodus 17. The Amalekites, here come the Israelites, and they're wandering around the wilderness, and the Amalekites see them coming, and they're like, fuck you, no. So they go to war with the fucking Israelites. And there's this narrative where Moses has got to hold his staff above his head, and as long as he keeps his staff held above his head, the Israelites will win, right? And Moses starts getting a little weak, right? And he starts dropping his staff, and as his staff gets lower and lower and lower, the Amalekites start to take over the fucking Israelites. So Aaron and this other person have to basically help Moses keep his staff above his head so that the Israelites can dominate the fucking Amalekites. This is all Exodus 17. And then you go books and books later to 2 Samuel, and it goes, oh, by the way, hey, Saul, this is coming from God. Go kill all the Amalekites for what happened generations before.
Wow.
Leave no one alive. None alive. Leave no one alive.
Now, wouldn't it be great if they were in charge of our government? I mean, and then maybe they wouldn't have to apologize for all these horrible
Well, they weren't.
messages.
Well,
The
that's-
orange
but-
thing has said he's all in favor of swift justice, just like they do in China and stuff. So,
Yeah, well, the thing is
Yeah.
that they are not in those narratives. They're not the ones in charge. It's a theocracy. God is,
Mhm.
and God is communicating by way of prophet what
Right.
it is that they're supposed to do. So it's a pure theocracy. It's not through consensus or through some kind of argumentation on the part of the fucking nation. At least not in the narratives. How they did things actually historically is one thing, but according to those narratives, it's supposed to be a theocracy. So everything is basically dictated by God.
Have you followed anything with that guy that's the new Mahdi and claimed himself the new Pope and everything?
No.
No.
Didn't somebody do a video on him recently? It's a cult in the UK, isn't it?
A bunch of folks have been covering it, and I mentioned it a little bit. That just there's a prophecy for the 12th Mahdi or something like that, and he's claiming it because nobody else has in the last how many hundreds of years. So he figured, okay, and he raised his hand.
Then he watched the new Dune movie and said, that sounds like a good idea. I can be like Paul Atreides.
And he declared himself Pope too, because he was the first one to call it when the Pope died.
Wow.
Kind of like not it or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I think
Opposite.
I think Nicola sent me some links on that one, but I never got into it. I was just like, neat, another freak.
Yeah. He's raised over $9,000 though. Last time I looked at his video.
Well, that doesn't seem very good. I think he's failing.
Yeah.
I mean, Joel Osteen's racked in a fortune along with Colt.
Well, you got to start somewhere, you know.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
But if you're not selling eternal salvation, then what are you selling, right?
It's a world peace thing. They're very kind of Hare Krishna kind of thing, you know, where it's all, you know, smiles and love and, you know, and we're going to take over the world, but we love you.
Yeah, until you start to like backslide or you start to go, wait a minute. Then they're like, fuck you, get the fuck out. And they're like, what happened to smiles and all that shit? No. That only goes so far there, fucking apostate.
Yeah. The Nurse Ratched smile is what I call it. The Nurse Ratched smile.
I was just amused at how he just called it. You know, he just basically said, nobody else has claimed to be the new Mahdi, so
Obviously I am.
I may as well do it. Yeah.
And everybody knows that if you claim something, it must be true, right? Because you can't claim something that isn't the case.
Well, I don't think it's really it depends kind of text in Islam or something on who actually follows this prophecy. But there's a 12 Imam, 12 Mahdi prophecy. It's kind of like the Pope prophecies and everything else, right? When they run out, that's when everything's going to happen. So,
yeah, whatever. Yeah, it doesn't tickle my fancy any anymore. I mean, I was raised in the Christian faith for many years, and then it just got really boring. And I was still a Christian for many years afterward. But
well, the last Pope is supposed to be Peter or something like that, and he named himself Leo, so it didn't work out.
Oh well, yeah. He's an American. They can't have that.
They didn't get their prophecy on the last Pope, because supposedly there's only one space left in the Vatican for a Pope picture. And it was supposed to be the last Pope, but it's Leo, which doesn't fit in. But I'm sure they'll figure out a way to change the letters around or something.
Boy, I tell you, speaking of fucking people that shit the bed, Boy, that shit's everywhere. That whole Jordan Peterson and fucking Danny fucking getting on
Oh,
there and asking.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Jesus
That's why I said
Christ.
I just had to dispute fair use on showing a clip of it. I got a tiny little check mark on my thingy.
Yeah, I don't even
You-
touch it. It's so damn hot. It's just like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Everybody else is covering it.
Yeah.
Digital
I just-
Gnosis is talking about it right
That's
now.
all I did. Yeah, I just showed the Danny part real quick. I just say, hey, a bunch
Oh,
of you
the
might
Danny
know
part
Danny
was
because he's
so
got a
good.
channel, right?
Yeah.
And so I was just like giving Danny like a little shout out. And, it wasn't very long. I mean, Bing Bing and Peterson kicked him out, and they give me the little tiny check mark on it. I said, really? Come on.
feel like- I
Everybody's
feel like-
covering it.
I still like Peterson going, well, I never claimed that. He's like, and you see Danny's eyes just go wide. He's like, last time I checked, this is one Christian versus 20 atheists.
Yeah. Are
Yep,
you a
yep.
Christian? Yes
Oh, they changed
and no.
They changed the name. They changed the name of that video.
Yeah, I heard about
Mm.
that.
Changed it
I was like,
midstream. Yeah.
yeah. That's funny that they would
Jordan
get him.
Peterson made him do it. Yeah. Because oh my God. Did he get hammered by everybody in the same way? It's like, what do you?
Is it Jefferson? Okay, yeah, I think that might have been who it was Jubilee.
Yeah, I remember. I remember one time I was doing a review of a video from like Seth. It was a Seth Meyers thing. It was just a portion of it, and I was making sure to add plenty of commentary, like every 20 seconds. They struck that. NBC struck that shit faster than shit. I was like, "Yep, that doesn't work."
Well, I use comedy clips sometimes, which somebody says something silly and you put a little clip in there of whoever, like George Carlin is a popular one, with that's effing stupid or something like that, And I've never had an issue, but Ricky Gervais, I used just a little thing of him going ring ring, hello God, right?
Yeah.
And it got nope, you can't. So I put a
No shit.
I put a bat phone over his head, with the from Batman, with the bat phone lighting up, and then they let me get away with it. But yeah, Ricky, Ricky wouldn't let anything slide. So.
Yeah, I did a short where it's Jill. Jill keeps calling this. There's another guy who goes. He's a deconstructed Christian, and he. How did that go? I'm losing my train of thought here. Oh yeah, so Jill, there's a guy named Joel Reads the Bible. That's the channel, and he's a deconstructed Christian. He's a former Christian, and he kind of does like a call-in thing, similar to like Deconstruction Zone does, and many others do. And Jill apparently has a problem with this individual as well. And when Jill is covering the guy's, Jill went on the guy's channel and had a conversation with him for a little bit. But when Jill did a video going over his short conversation with Joel, he keeps pronouncing his name Joel.
Yeah.
So I immediately took a couple clips of him mispronouncing his name as Joel, and then there's this skit from Key and Peele about this teacher from the inner city.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Who's
I saw
calling
that.
these kids out by the wrong names, like
Yep.
Jaqueline, and she goes, "Well, it's Jacqueline, right?" And it said when I first did the video, it was like 100, and the short was like 1 minute and 11 seconds. And then it came back with a copyright strike, and it said you can only use this if it's under a minute or a minute or less. So I had to trim it a little bit more in order to get it to work.
No, at least they allowed that.
Yeah, but they
that was a funny Key and Peele thing. That's pretty cool. Yeah, we used to call You remember SFB mod? That Joel, his name was, or Joel, and we used to call him Joel. Yeah, we used to call him Joel.
Oh no, you're talking SFB mod.
Yeah, you used to call him Joel.
Yeah. That's SFB mod. Yeah, Joel. Yeah.
That guy he was so full of shit.
Oh, he still thinks that fucking Einstein is a Christian, and then Spinoza is a Christian, and you can't, and atheists can't do this, and atheists can't do that because of this, and I'm just like, you sir are like what the first time I had a conversation with that guy was on Praise's channel, and it was a decent, it went fine. It was
Really?
it wasn't a rowdy conversation or anything. We were talking about he was talking about cellular technology, and apparently he figured that he was under the impression that 5G technology was a hoax because 4G technology could do the same thing as 5G technology. And I'm like, apparently you have never heard of FCC like restrictions on bandwidth, right? Because
Yeah.
5G does not extend the same distance as 4G, and there's bandwidth limits based on, because the higher the frequency, the shorter the range kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he was trying to basically tell me all of this stuff. And then once I got done talking to him and everything, I got to thinking about, I'm like, this guy's completely full of shit.
He is. Yeah.
He's completely full of shit. It's like he doesn't understand. He's like, oh, they're just coming up with that stuff arbitrarily in order to sell new phones. And I'm like, yeah, that's why they spent billions of dollars like putting 5G antennas and attaching them to the existing LTE and 4G towers that are out there, understanding that there's going to be a difficulty with this because the 5G frequency is going to require it's going to require more transmitters in order to saturate given areas because of its limitation on the amount on its, the amount that the signal range is much more restricted. He didn't understand. Apparently, for a commo guy, having been a commo guy in the army, he didn't understand. He must have forgot about that. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever. And then if you try to like refute him or anything like that, he would go off. He would just yell at you, just And
Well,
one time, go ahead.
He was trying to. He was talking about working at SpaceX and design, basically being involved in all this rocket science. And he was like a rocket scientist, and he was hobnobbing with Elon Musk and all this bullshit. And so I looked his resume up, and it turns out he laid some Ethernet cable for SpaceX.
Yeah,
that's what he was. That was his job, right?
Yeah, he probably worked for a company, and they were subcontracted, and they did some kind of infrastructure work for SpaceX, and then he just said and now he goes around saying I worked for SpaceX. It's like when
he actually says he's a rocket scientist, that he actually helped launch rockets and crap. I mean, he went a lot further. Yeah.
If he hadn't laid the Ethernet cable right, then the rockets wouldn't
right.
work.
There you go. Yeah.
The comms don't work. You don't have comms. You can't launch a rocket without good comms. You'd just be launching them up into a void or something. But they'll smash up against the firmament or something shit. But yeah, my brother did it to him one time.
That's what's happening to Elon's big rocket. It keeps hitting the firmament and coming back
it keeps hitting the firmament. Yep. Just keeps confirming those flat earthers.
That's what happens.
Those things keep exploding because he keeps smacking up against that firmament. And but Jeff had been enjoying his cups one night, and Joel was on Praise's channel, and Jefferson goes into Praise's channel, and just feeling his cups, proceeds in basically poking the bear. And the conversation was about, I think it was about it was during COVID, and it was about the use of what was that shit? The stuff that they use for ivermectin. It was about using ivermectin.
Yeah.
For COVID. And he was just like, "Oh yeah, there's all this shit." And so I go in there, and I'm trying to be like the voice of reason here, and I find a Lancet article, a couple Lancet articles that were posted after the article that he posted that were basically refuting, like, no, there's no, we keep looking into it, but there is nothing here. There's no evidence to show that ivermectin is effective, either as a preventative, as a therapeutic, whatever.
Yeah.
And he got fucking furious with me. Just fuck you, rah, rah, rah. Just starts yelling and everything. I thought he was going to start crying. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if he was a little bit. But then after that, he insisted that my brother and me were the same exact person. And I'm like, okay, neat, whatever. And then people kept trying to tell him, no, they're twins. No, that's the same person. Oh, they're twins. So, but all right.
I was just watching a Professor Dave video on the Weinstein brothers, Eric and Brett, and he was talking about that ivermectin thing and how they said it so many times that people started to believe it, and it's just, oh my God, some of the bullshit that the Weinsteins go along with is unbelievable.
Yeah, and it was funny because you saw this happen a lot because you were dealing, like, some people were like, well, why do you think this is happening? And I'm like, because people don't understand that this is a novel virus, so they're looking for anything that works. And so a lot of people are doing this bad thing of like, it's like grabbing dried spaghetti noodles and throwing them up against the wall to see if they stick. What sticks, just to see if it sticks. Yeah. And so that becomes problematic. That was one of the things that they kept, here's Fauci on fucking TV. Hey, just calm down. We're still working on it. What do you mean you don't have any answers? What do you mean you don't have any answers?
Yeah.
It's a novel virus. We don't really know everything about it yet. We're still studying on it. We know it's a variant of corona. It's a coronavirus. We have that down, but the way that it seems to be doing things is not quite the same as some of the other coronaviruses, and blah blah blah. And people just fucking, no, you're a scientist and you don't have the fucking answers. It's like, yeah, when it comes to a novel virus, they're looking for the answers. That doesn't mean that they just automatically know.
Bunch of disgusting people were mad they had to wash their hands. That's what it was all about.
Yeah, I know.
Or social
wear a mask. Yeah.
Or social distance. Oh, heaven forfend you have to stand back away from somebody. You can't get right up on someone's junk. Right up on them in line.
Those people in lines really bother me. I always give some room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you got somebody that's right behind you, breathing down your neck. It's like, come on, man.
You know what's cool?
We got these little space.
We got these holiday gas stations in Minnesota. I don't know if they're nationwide or whatever, but anyway, when I go to holiday, people still space out a good 10 feet away from each other. We're still doing it, and I haven't got a cold since 2019. And almost every store I go to, people give you space now. So it changed us, and God, people just bitched about that.
Yeah, the flu rates all dropped way down too. Yeah, because you filthy people had to wash your hands.
Common sense, just a little common sense. We've been using hand sanitizer. And
the other thing is work. If somebody is ill or whatever, just don't have them come in. This idea of drag yourself in anyways, is just not productive. Everybody else is just going to get sick,
Yeah, this top G in the live chat says that I wished I was one of the 20 atheists that went up against the extreme. Yeah, if I'd have been there, the only thing I would have done is if I had sat down with him, he'd been like, "So what's up?" I would have gone, "This is one Christian versus 20 atheists, right?" "Yep, sure is. I smell bullshit." And I think it's across the table.
That's why I would have got bounced quicker than Danny. I would have said, "What's up, Fryhead?"
What's this all about? Get out of here!
Oh my goodness.
Well, he's like so many others. It's all sounds good. When they're throwing all this stuff around, but if you listen or if you write it down, it doesn't mean anything.
Well, it's just listening to him on like a debate with like Destiny. Destiny has him on, and they're Destiny and him are going back and forth, and he starts, "Oh, I've talked to like the world's renowned economists," and then he starts talking as though that since he's had conversations with economists, now he's a foremost expert on economics. And I'm like, God damn! It's like, God damn! It's no wonder they brought you in to fucking like dial you back. Just because you have talks with them doesn't make you a fucking.
That's what that Weinstein idiot just said. I just spent 5 days talking to some physicists, and it's like, well, obviously you got it all figured out then.
I talked to an MIT graduate who majored in quantum physics for like 5 hours, and
you got it all down. Step up, Jay. Come on.
Yeah, come at me, bro.
Come at me, bro. Debate me, bro.
Okay, how far can you go? I got as far as observer effect. I have nowhere else to go. 5 hours and that's all you've got is observer effect? Yeah.
Well, we're just the woke mob, though. What do we know, right? The woke mob. So,
Get your
those,
t-shirts now.
yeah, woke mob. Those, I got a friend that keeps calling me part of the brainwashed woke mob, and I'm not sure how our friendship is going to survive this, but anyway, he loves calling me woke, and I'm thinking of the word woke, and then I was thinking about that Leviticus thing we were talking about. Like, if that is the opposite of woke, then I'm fucking woke. I'm going with woke.
Well, isn't it odd to be proud of not being awake?
I know, yeah, or proud of being
I'm
tough on
unconscious.
people. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Well, what was
unconscious. I'm just walking around.
Well, I think it was a skit. I think it was a part of a Bill Burr skit. And he goes, "Yeah, woke. There was nothing wrong with that, but some fucking whitey just had to fucking go in. Oh, that's cool. The black people are saying it. I'm gonna fucking make
We
that
need-
mine.
Yeah,
Shut the
woke
fuck
too.
up.
We need more
Shut
people on cruises, according to Bill Burr. My favorite is that interview when they asked him, "Didn't you go too far?" when he was making jokes about the Catholic Church, and he looked back at him and he goes, "Don't you think the church went too far?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember him. I remember somebody in his. I went to this live one. It was in San Jose, and there was a MAGA supporter sitting near in the front row while he was doing his skit, and said something to him. And man, he fucking went after that guy. He's like, "Yeah, because you're fucking racist," and just they shut that guy right up. He goes, "Holy shit!" I'm sitting here trying to do a bit, and this guy won't shut the fuck up. Oh, and I'm like, yeah, dude, that was a fucking mistake. Just keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, most of them are used to dealing with it, so they've got their stuff ready to shut down the hecklers.
Yeah, it was funny because he I still remember it because we saw him in Stockton and he was talking about, yeah, how many of you voted? How many here are Trump supporters? And a bunch of people, because Stockton, I think predominantly. I don't remember it's 50-50 or if it was 60-40. But
Okay.
Trump got a lot of voters from that side of the state and here in California, and people were just cheering and everything. And he goes, "Oh yeah, you didn't remember what it was like to have him that first 4 years?"
Yeah.
Nope.
What the hell did he try to? I saw a short clip of him try to pronounce a word the other day, and when he fucks up, like when he can't pronounce a word, what the hell was it? It was not inoculated. It was something a little complicated. It had 5 syllables or whatever. And
Who is this?
Well, Trump. And like he trails off and he starts going, like there's marbles in his mouth. Instead of mispronouncing the word like a normal person would mispronounce a word.
Or he goes, he won't admit that he just doesn't know how to pronounce it. Oh, that's a twister. He'll just blah, blah, and just push through it.
Yeah, he keeps going, and it's like, what the fuck
it's
are
like
you
the
doing?
show. Yeah, it's this mentality like the show must go on. So if like you're doing a live performance, if you fuck it up, just act like it's okay and just keep going.
Well, it's easy when you don't use periods or commas.
Yeah.
He just does one long run-on sentence.
What was it for Memorial Day? He has this post, right? And my wife shows me the post.
Oh my God, that post.
All you scumbags out there, have a happy Memorial Day.
She shows it to me, and I look at it. I was like, "Yeah, all caps, hardly any punctuation. Yeah, it's from him."
Yeah, you can vet it. Yeah.
And then there was a nice little one about the Pope passing. You know, our deepest condolences. This, that, and everybody was saying he didn't write that.
Yeah, it was all properly written. Right,
no caps.
No caps. Proper punctuation, very succinct. No rambling. No.
That was the assistant that did that one.
Yeah.
Oh, and then he was talking to these West Point for the graduation or whatever, and he says, modern Warcraft, we have this new thing called drone.
Oh, did you hear what he said? That the military's job is to spread democracy around the world.
Yeah,
with the gun.
Yeah, with a gun. Yeah, you see,
with the gun. You're going to be democratic or else.
Yeah.
Then he started talking about stealth bombers, and he said, "Yeah, they have these stealth bombers, and they have wings, and sometimes the wing is one way, and then you can't see it, and then the wing's another way, and
they were laughing at him.
Were they laughing at him?
Yeah, one time he's like, "What's that?" or something, because they were laughing at him. He didn't understand why, because you're an idiot.
Bomber. Yeah, it's like, holy shit, you're talking.
And these aren't like, this ain't like boot camp folks, right?
No,
I mean, these people are going to be
college.
officers.
Yeah,
they're going to be officers and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all thinking, why couldn't I have been like the previous generation where they were like myself, where my commander in chief was an adulterer and did weird things with one of his aides and a cigar. It's like, yeah, why couldn't it have been like that? I had Bill Clinton as a commander in chief.
He's another one. He's a Jordan Peterson wannabe with his depends what your definition of is.
Yeah, I like that one.
And there's Peterson. Well, what do you mean by believe? And it's like, the hell, everybody pretty much can agree what believe means, right?
Yeah.
You kind of accept something to be true, right? What do you mean by believe? Can you define that?
Well, it can also be your epistemic state on what you hold to be false.
Yeah.
For any given justification. Either way, it is funny because.
But you can't be a Christian and not a Christian, because he got asked, "Are you a Christian?" He's like, "Well, yes and no." It's like,
yes and no.
I don't think it's a yes or no. I think it's either or.
Well, there's a way of explaining it. You could kind of be like this idea of like a cultural Christian, where you kind of go, yeah, I kind of like some of the teachings of Christ, and then they go, but are you like a Christian? No, but I don't have a problem with some of the ideology.
Yeah,
right. But he doesn't specify that, right? And it's not hard to fucking specify, and it's not logically incoherent. It's just like, yeah, I've read some of the stuff. I've read the Gospels and read some of these things from Jesus, and some of these things I can respect, I can get behind, I can see where they can work for the benefit of maybe a society and stuff like that, and I don't have any problem with them. Yeah, but are you a Christian? No, fuck that.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of the apologist mini channels, whatever, been clipping Richard Dawkins too, where he says, he appreciates the art and the architecture, and some of the values in Christianity. But he wasn't saying go be a Christian. He's still against it. He's just saying, it could be worse, right? And of course, it's taken out of context.
I think people should watch that conversation that he had with Matt Dillahunty. I think that was an interesting conversation. Jordan
Dawkins
Peterson
and Dillahunty.
No,
Peterson.
Jordan. It was Peterson. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Jordan Peterson.
Oh, that was just such bullshit.
Yeah,
didn't he say?
I can appreciate all that too. The architecture and the art and the music and all that, and but.
Except Christian rock. Fuck that shit. Fuck that.
Oh, that stuff's awful. Yeah.
During that Dillahunty
South
thing,
Park covered that good. Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
During the Dillahunty thing, didn't Peterson say that you couldn't quit cigarettes unless you did mushrooms or something, or some fucking thing?
Know. I didn't.
He says it works. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like yeah. Anyway,
I do have to step back though, because it's interesting, because the band U2 was actually labeled as a Christian rock group when they first came out.
Were they?
Yeah, U2 was considered a Christian rock group.
Well, if it's clean, if the language is clean and you aren't talking about, getting down on some booty or something like that.
No, the Doobie Brothers.
They'll put it over there,
Well, the Doobie Brothers weren't considered Christian rock, and they did the song "Jesus Is Just All Right with Me."
Yeah.
So yeah, it is kind of interesting, but I think I think it might just depend on because U2 was coming on to Ireland and shit. So
There's a lot. I mean, Zeppelin mentions Jesus. Black Sabbath mentions, I think, Jesus. If not, it mentions God and Satan and everything. And a lot of stuff in the music there.
Yeah.
I mean, you may not like how they're using it in the song, but it's in there.
My psychedelic recovery group this week, they found out that I'm an atheist.
Uh-oh.
And I couldn't believe it. There were only 4 of us in the room, but all 3 of them were. Yeah, no. How can you be an atheist if you do mushrooms? It's like
heroic. You just sit there,
what the
heroic dose, heroic after
Yeah.
heroic dose, and still no joy.
and still
baby.
be an atheist. Yeah, it's like
No joy, baby. There
it's
is
like,
no.
well,
I have not seen a gray old white man with a big burly beard in the clouds. I have not
Right.
seen it.
yeah.
No, that's not the
Well,
God that you're looking for. I haven't seen any.
Well, here's how that works. If I take a substance that makes me fucking hallucinate and see patterns that aren't there, when I come down, I don't believe the shit that I saw while I was hallucinating.
Yeah. Well, why don't you
I mean, if
believe it?
Why do you
Well,
think
I-
they call it a fucking hallucinogen?
I saw the face. I saw my face's cat melt off. But when I came
Yeah.
to, the cat was fine. There's a reason
Oh my-
not to believe everything that you see when you're on those
Well,
things.
Dave, what the fuck did my cat turn into that one night? I closed my eyes and he turned into this like pixelated fucking and then I opened my eyes and there was my cat. Yeah.
I remember something about your Jesus blanket story or something was
Oh, the Jesus
looking
blanket,
at you or something.
Oh, and the
Jesus
bunny
blanket.
said Scott asked me if I was okay. He was checking on me and I said, "Are you the bunny?
Oh my
Are you the bunny?" Are
Well,
you the bunny?
Kafai's there. He'll tell you right there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You see,
It
God.
wasn't a heroic dose. It wasn't enough. You need to eat that whole dang field, man. I mean, you need to eat that mushrooms
Yep.
until it's oozing back out your nose and everything, and then you're full, and then
Oh yeah.
then
Yeah,
you'll
so
find God.
Kafai-
Then you'll find God.
Kafai-
Yeah, when you start licking the fucking schmuck off the back of the divider window of a taxi cab, and you go, these schnozberries taste
Schnozberries taste like
schnozberries."
schnozberries.
Kafai doesn't think I've taken enough
I'm
drugs yet.
freaking out, man.
I haven't taken enough.
You
It's
are-
like
you are-
Kafai. I'll
you
tell
are,
you some
you
fucking
are
stories.
freaking out. Man.
Man,
He
we
challenges
were just
that
saying
I had
we're due to watch that again.
littering
That
littering
movie,
and
every time, it's funny every time. They think I'm Mexican.
yeah, they think I'm Mexican. You're not Mexican? He shakes his head. No.
And when they're having the threesome or foursome or whatever and stuff, it's just hilarious.
Yeah, who wants a mustache ride? Oh,
I do. Just throw it in there, and it's just like, what the hell?
Who wants a mustache ride? The fucking show is that movie's
What the
insane.
fuck is Kalindi Lee? Kalindi Linney range
Uh-oh.
dose? You guys aren't even familiar.
We haven't manifested to that level yet. Sorry.
We got to manifest.
We're going to work on it Saturday, folks, though. We've got Wayne, the toaster guy, making new content. We were just saying, it'd be fun to revisit Wayne because we really like Wayne.
Yeah, he's back.
We're not, I mean, we like, at first it was kind of like that, but we like Wayne, okay?
We love Wayne.
He's grown on us, really. We enjoy his content. And I said, well, maybe I'll look through, because it's been a while, he hadn't put anything out. I said, well, maybe I'll look around and see if, something interesting in there. And what do you know? There was new content. So what do you know? We're going to be talking about it Saturday.
Yeah.
And it starts out, I'll give you a little teaser. The first thing he says is, there's more evidence for God than for your toaster.
Yeah. Yep. There
So
is.
be there. You don't want to miss the beginning.
You
'Cause
want-
that's
you
the
don't wanna miss
beginning.
it. But we're going to dig deeper into this toaster phenomena. Well, he's got this whole
Opposable
thing.
thumbs.
read the Wikipedia page on block time, and he's got this whole thing about you don't need memory. Everything is happening right now, so you don't need to remember it.
Well,
And,
Jay,
my
remember,
God.
I think last time we were talking about this, you were saying, what with the toaster guy?
Mm-hmm.
And this is your reminder. Saturday, we are going to be revisiting the toaster guy. So,
You sent Jay a link. Yeah.
Hey, I think it's around 30 dried grams of psilocybin. How much have you ever taken?
I think the most I've taken is about 14, something like that.
Yeah, ultra high dose psilocybin, but the results are kind of sparse. But I saw something here from the Google results that was like around 30 dried grams of psilocybin.
Jesus Christ, why would you want to do that? Holy fuck. I mean, like,
fly me to the moon.
I had this fucking, Jay, I had this experience where I wanted to lay down, and at least I think I wanted to lay down, and I saw myself moving ahead of myself. I could see my body going and laying down on the Jesus blanket, and then coming back up, and I wasn't sure if I had laid down and gotten up or if I was planning to lay down. So I was like locked in place, and I couldn't figure time out. Like shit was happening I was like out of body, and shit was happening in the future and the past at the same time. And then I was listening to music, and the song in my right ear seemed like even though it was the same song, seemed like a totally different song. So my brain actually fucking split in half, and I was like two personalities. And I'm like, okay.
Jesus. I don't even want to touch it.
Yeah, and then I realized I had to pee, so I have to get up and walk across the room. It's like, I'm so fucked.
At least you got up to pee, so you weren't that toasted.
Yeah, well, no, I didn't get up. I slithered like a fucking snake on the floor until I got there and propped myself up. It's like I ain't standing up. I don't even know what the fuck that means.
It's like that scene in the Wolf of Wall Street where they take all those, I think they're emals or something like that, and they're old. Okay. And then they take them and they don't kick in, so they keep taking more of them, and then they kick in at one point, and then he's just all fucked up. He's like, "Oh yeah, I drove just fine," and then he goes, "But the reality was the car's all smashed to shit," and he's
yeah.
So
what the hell? What is it? That Seth Rogen series? What is the name of that? His latest series. It's the
one
studio.
The studio. Yeah.
Okay. The last episode, she gives them this. She gives them mushrooms, and she says it's like. What did she say? It was an eighth of a gram, or no? It was an eighth, right? So she said one dose is an eighth, and he said, "Oh, so an eighth of a gram? That's a microdose." So they fucking do about 15 of them, and they realize she meant eighth of an ounce. It's like,
oh wow, yeah. I was gonna say that's not what she means.
Yeah, and they just well, it's a two-parter. I think the second part is coming out. I'm not sure what happens, but they got to give this big presentation for the studio, and they're all so fucked up. It's unbelievable. It's funny.
Yeah, the Kalindi Lee guy, he's from Detroit.
Really?
Yeah, he died from COVID.
Holy shit.
I guess it didn't help him.
I had a trivial. Okay, you call 14 grams a trivial experience?
What? What did he
say? He says I had my 14 grams was a trivial experience.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I love how Cafe thinks there's an objective. Like if that was the case, like, yeah, okay. When I was feeling 2.5 milligrams of THC, no, you weren't getting enough THC to get high.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not the real dose. Yeah. Not the real.
That's not the real dose. You can't get high. No one can get high on 2.5 milligrams of cannabis of THC. This guy can.
Oh, like, what do you got to do? maybe you should just like fucking. No, I won't say it out loud, but maybe you should do something to your head that totally gets you high, right? Like totally. Like
No,
drop a fucking brick on it.
We used to have that crappy stuff back in the day, 40 freaking years ago too. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
there
those
ain't no
old-
comparison with it today.
Hey,
Just
hold
doesn't
on. They're bringing they what is it? Acapulco Gold. It's
I saw
coming
that.
back. It's still.
I saw that.
I tried. Tried that a while back. There's a company out here called Heavy Hitters, and they had strain specific stuff out there. They had these drinks. They had Acapulco Gold vapes and all this kind of stuff, and that stuff is actually pretty cool. That's not a bad. That's actually a pretty decent strain. But my favorite the favorite one that I used to have that was strain specific in a gummy was Cherry Crush.
Yeah.
That thing was nice. That would just mellow you right out, but you were alert, but you were calm at the same time. It was a nice one.
We used to get shit back in the 60s, like hashish and some of the pot, and it was every bit as strong as the shit they have today. I mean, I don't understand I think there was like some of the hash was extremely fucking potent. I mean, it was like pure THC. I don't know what they're saying. I think a little bit of that is bullshit. I know they've managed to get more out of a plant, and they prepare them differently. They just do the flowers now instead of they used to just throw the whole thing in, all the leaves. But I don't know. Don't believe all the bullshit you hear about drugs. And the LSD back in the day was fucking pure and perfect. And I did as much as fucking 2,300 micrograms of that shit. And so fuck you, Kafaya. I haven't done the real dose.
I remember a buddy of mine in the Army. He did LSD, and according to him, I don't know how much there is to this, but according to him, he would not drink orange juice and he would not drink, especially grape juice, because if he had grape juice, he would trip again.
Oh yeah, well, I don't know if that's some of that is bullshit or a lot of that is bullshit about tripping again. But like I had this thing where every time I looked at a red, like if somebody drove up in a red car and in the bright sun and I walked up and I looked at the red car, I would get this like flip in my mind and it would kind of feel like I was tripping. But later I learned that was a symptom of ADHD, that you have these mini seizures with certain color patterns and stuff like that. And I had a few of those things. But there have been very, very, I mean, it's bullshit about tripping again, like you're tripping on LSD. I think it's bullshit.
Yeah, you have to hit, but it's about meeting all 6 markers on the measures of the so-called.
Oh, yeah, the so-called scale.
So-called being correct, being the operative term there. So-called.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I had a coworker of mine who was like, "Hey, if you ever want to try some," and I just went, "No."
Really?
No.
No,
I'm just too old for that stuff.
Takes
too much out of me.
I had a hallucination, mild, but it was just there from having 10 milligrams of indica in a gummy, and nope.
No, that shit is worse.
Because I would close my eyes and like I would think about stuff and I try to calm down, but everything was like melting into each other in my head. It started making me fucking sick.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I turned on a movie and just basically wrote it out, and I took a shit ton of CBD and ate some fucking high fat foods and shit, and just fucking and luckily it passed after about an hour, but I fucking don't like that at all.
Yeah, I overdosed on THC and it's a lot worse than mushrooms or LSD. It's a very uncomfortable experience if you take too much of that shit. Like I laid down and I kept falling through my pillow, and I was trying to come up with a fantasy because I just wanted to fucking go to sleep. I just wanted to go to sleep and get over it.
Leave your damn pillow alone.
I did a whole fucking bud, you know, and my friend said I did about 50 times as much as you should have done. And because my nephew told me to do the whole bud, he said, "Oh, it probably won't have an effect unless you cook it." So I cooked it in a cookie, right? And I just wanted to get rid of the pain at the top of my feet, and I wanted to try it out, right? So I tried it out, and I had 3 buds, and I did one whole bud, and I put it in a cookie, and then I was watching TV, and then I tried to get up, and I fucking was on the floor, and I had to crawl around the room. I couldn't walk at all, and I couldn't go to sleep. It's like, what the fuck?
It's best to cook it in fat.
Yeah, and I remember telling myself, people that do mushrooms and LSD are pussies compared to the fucking people that do this THC shit. It was just so much worse. I mean, I couldn't get a handle on my thoughts. They just kept flying faster and faster, and it's like, oh, I'm sick. Fortunately, I passed out after 4 hours.
Yeah, the only kind of like cannabis I normally like to take is normally high sativa strains, like high sativa hybrids, because the sativa ones don't have the couch lock feel. So like I remember the first time, because they said, oh, if you're prone to anxiety, don't try green crack. And so I was like, let me give this a shot. So I tried a very low dose of green crack, leveled me right out. Calm me right down.
Yeah.
And green crack got its name from, well, the rumor is that it, well, yeah, I guess the rumor is that it got its name from Snoop Dogg, because when he first tried it, he said it was like crack.
Green, yeah.
So they called it great. So he called it green crack, and so the name kind of stuck. But it's supposed to be one of those ones that gets you amped up. Does not do that with me at all.
But here's the interesting thing. If you are of the ADHD class of people, and it's a certain class of brain, I think, if you take a very mild stimulant, it will slow you down and be almost like a depressant. but if you go above a certain threshold, then you're off to the races, right? You're speeding.
Yeah. Well, I know I'm not ADHD because I can't have caffeine anymore without having an anxiety attack.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the last time I was at the dentist, I ended up in the emergency room because the the anesthetic that they give you to numb your tooth has epinephrine in it. Yeah, blood pressure went 205 over 110.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I can't have stimulants anymore.
Made me sleepy. I already didn't get enough sleep, and I'm sitting in the dentist chair, and they had to do a crown, so it takes a while, And I'm listening to I got my headphones in, I got my phone, and listening to I think I was listening to Joe or something, and I just couldn't keep my eyes open. So there was like no stimulant effect whatsoever, and I was numb from the back. He worked down my back. I was numb all the way into my chin, and my tongue was even numb. I told him I can't work my tongue.
Yeah. He had to, when I went back to get the root canal finished, he gave me the non-epinephrine anesthetic, and he had to give me 7 shots. So the reason they put the epinephrine in it is to help. The epinephrine helps to keep your body from breaking it down too quickly. So it helps to kind of suspend it. And here's the thing about me. I have a high tolerance for pain meds.
Kafai, I gave you a wrench, drop a link. You can drop a link. And I passed out on the dentist one time. He was shooting me, and all of a sudden everything went gray. Poof. And it was like, Dave.
Oh,
Dave. It's like, hello.
Last time my wife went to the dentist, they were finishing up something, and where they put the shot in, for some reason they hit a nerve, and her left eye would shut for like an hour.
Oh yeah.
Shit.
I got
her left eye stayed open.
I'm pretty cheeky. I'm pretty cheeky over there because he shot me in the behind it and in front of it, so I got it twice.
Yeah, my older brother had that experience.
Didn't feel a damn thing though.
Novocaine just knocked him right on the floor, and they I think they had to take him to the hospital. They hit a nerve or something, and it just blew him away.
Yeah, he gave me quite a bit, and it seemed to make me sleepy.
Yeah, the orthodontist that I went to for this, he goes, yeah, that's probably the worst reaction we've seen to epinephrine ever in this office. And then he's like, so here we go. And he
you're
gives,
real sensitive, yeah.
yeah. So he gives, and that was the thing. The amount that he gave me the first time was half the dose that he would give to a normal that he would give normally. And so I was like, oh, that's fun. And then I was like, good thing you cut it back halfway. But as he was going, like he was working for like 10 minutes, and I was like, yeah, and he stopped and goes, you got to say something. I said, you're going to want to put another shot in. And he goes, can you feel that? And I said, yeah. So he had to give me another shot. And then that lasted for about 20 minutes. And I was like, is this going to go any further? And he goes, yeah, we got a little bit longer to go. I said, you're going to want to give me another shot. And then it went a little bit longer. And I went, you're going to want to give me another. So he goes, holy shit. It's like, yeah.
Me and my boy, we've done small fillings without Novocaine. The dentist will say, hey, it's just a little on the edge there. And because we've mentioned before to him, hey, if it's just a little thing, I'll skip the shot, right? So he'll let me know. And there's been a few times, and my son too. It's like, well, it's just a little, thing there. I was like, go ahead. And yeah, just that quick little touch with the drill, and it's hardly nothing. And then, no Novocaine, boom, it's over and done. And it's a lot quicker too. You're in and out of there real fast.
Derek Lambert situation? Derek Lambert situation?
No.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell this is. The cult of atheism isn't a claim about atheism itself. It's a critique of what certain online communities have become. That's just bullshit. Calling us the atheist cult really insulted me. I mean, it's like, what the fuck? Who's our leader? It's like Dawkins. Anyway.
And they appealed to Steve McRae. Oh fuck.
No. So
that's
Jay,
right there. It says right there in the second page. Let's get our terms straight. As Steve McRae has rightly pointed out, atheism is not simply a lack of belief. That's the so-called lactheism position, often used to dodge epistemic accountability. And yet this is precisely the definition, the HCA belief in gods. This definition also encompasses what most people call, oh, for fuck's sake. You don't even have to get into that. If you're talking about a group of people who are non-believers, whether they're agnostics or atheists, and they seem to agree on certain socio-economic, political things, they seem to have a problem with Derek Lambert. There you go. That's what you can call the cult of atheism, is just a bunch of people who get together who are non-believers in some kind of light, and they agree on certain socio-economic, political kind of issues, and they don't particularly like Bob Price and Derek Lambert possibly platforming Bob Price again. So what?
Fucked himself.
And there's thousands of hours of content on it already. I think most everybody is. So it's well covered out there, and we have other things to cover. Go ahead, check out million and one other coverages of it. See what they all have to say, and I think it's already been.
One of the things I always hated was when you get into conversations, because I've seen Jill use this, I've seen Praise, I've seen a bunch of people on YouTube that go, well, why would you ever, well, look at these atheists over here. Well, look at this atheist over here. Are you sure you want to call yourself an atheist? I'm like, right. Roman Catholics call themselves a Christian. Why do you want to go around calling yourself a fucking Christian?
That's why I'm captive desk.
Yeah.
Atheist I hate a four-letter word. Yeah, atheist is a four-letter word. I try to avoid it, but it's kind of what you are by definition or whatever.
It's a perfectly fine word. The fact that people try to fucking weaponize it as a way of like getting people to kind of like recoil away from it. It's not going to change their epistemic position by not identifying as an atheist anymore. If they're not convinced in God's existing for whatever reason, then they're a non-believer, right? Yeah. If you think that, well, are there some people that get into this for kind of like some kind of social clout or something like that? Yeah, I'm sure there are. There's all sorts of weirdos out there that do that shit. Who gives a shit? Doesn't matter.
And if I say I'm not a believer, people are like, oh, okay, or whatever. If you say you're an atheist, you'll get the.
Oh no! Like, tell me under. Tell me under naturalism how something can come from nothing.
Yeah.
Then I always tell them, I'm like, I'm not a fucking naturalist. They're like, yes, you are. You're an atheist. You don't have to be a natural. You don't have to hold to naturalism to be a fucking atheist. You do understand that. You could be a solipsist and be an atheist. You dumb fuck.
Mike,
Yeah, I don't know.
Mike, we need to check.
Argument with
We
one
need
of
to
them.
check back with. We need to check back with Tilting Windmill because they're going to the dentist tomorrow for a heroic dose of Novocaine.
A heroic dose of Novocaine. Yeah, I was going to tell you. I was going to tell you, Jay, before we got off topic of a drug side effect. Like I'm a coke and meth addict, right? Recovering.
Yeah.
And I cannot take ephedrine or Sudafed or anything that has that stimulant-like molecules in it
Yeah.
without having anxiety attacks and just feeling horrible for hours and hours.
Well,
So I can't decongestants.
isn't epinephrine related to ephedra and
Yes, yeah, it is. Yeah,
And so
Yeah.
and ephedra is kind of like basically like nature's meth.
yeah, and I've got kind of some kind of sensitivity to it. It's almost like I get all the bad side effects from meth and coke without any of the high.
Well, I used
Just
it
get a
when I
big
was,
old 7-Eleven coffee in one of them giant 32-ounce suckers, and you'll be zippity doodah around just plenty.
I used to take those Rip Fuel and Xenadrine and shit like that. Stuff that had I can't how is it, Mawang or something like that. It's the Chinese herb.
Yeah.
It's ephedra.
Yeah, that's a
I
Fedra.
used to-
Yeah, that's
yeah,
a
I used to take that shit. My God, I could run boy, that stuff would fucking help my fucking run times. I can tell you that.
That stuff makes me sick, really sick. But I can do speed and coke and have a be off to the races. But if I do the half measures like ephedra, I get really sick, horribly, and it really fucks me up with anxiety and everything else. We're witnessing the ritualization of video. So, like, okay, we're kind of a community here. Like Jay, I consider you part of our cult, and Dave and Scott and everybody. But we're kind of a group of college friends. We don't really all share the same fucking philosophy or metaphysics, or necessarily the same politics. Though I think we're pretty similar in that. So, what the hell are they talking about? Cult? What do they mean? I mean, there's nothing I sign up to. There's nothing I get from all the other people about what I believe. All of my beliefs are my own.
A means without, not against.
Without, yeah.
Hiller's email.
Yeah.
A means lacking, so atheists aren't. Oh yeah, so atheists
Anti,
aren't
right.
anti-theists. Yeah, they would be without. They're not
Yeah.
against. Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah, ephedrine is horrible. It's a horrible
there's
thing.
lots
It can really fucking raise your heart rate.
And believe it or
I've
not,
made it
I've
very
had a
clear.
lot-
I hail Bigfoot. Okay, it's always up there. See that? It says all hail Bigfoot, right?
No,
My email is all hail Bigfoot. Okay, I hail Bigfoot. So unless you're in with us Bigfootists, you don't got a badge and you don't get to decide anything. So I'm sorry.
Jay, he said Jay was part of the cult, and then there's a YouTube video. What YouTube video did he share?
Jay is not part of the cult. Definitely not.
I was reading cafes. He said Jay was part of the cult, and then he shared a video.
Yeah, I think that was
There was
Cafe's talk with
there was-
AI. Is that what it was?
No, there was a stream and there was like 10 people on it or something like that. And Jay was on there and bunch of people were on there. Yeah, Nitty and all. Everybody was all on there.
Oh,
Like I said,
so if I went to a Roman Catholic church once, I would be part of the Roman Catholic Church. Gotcha, Cafe.
Yeah. Yeah.
As I say, if you don't know what's going on, it all started about a couple years ago, and it's resurfaced because Derek at one time said he wasn't going to talk to this person. Now he says he's going to talk to this person again. So everybody has been talking about it. There's lots of videos about it, and it's kind of reopened some old wounds that they thought were beyond. But then there's also the argument of, well, maybe they've changed their ways. There's all this going on, and I watched the whole thing 2 years ago, and now it's resurfaced. I've seen all the streams. I've been listening to everybody, and You know, I understand all the different viewpoints, and I don't have anything else to add to it. I mean, I think everything's been said about it, all the different views, all the different opinions, all the different things. And ultimately, you know what it comes down to? Don't watch the channel. If you don't like something, don't watch it. Watch somebody else's stuff. Come over to the captive desk and we'll have a good time.
Yeah, sorry there, Cafe. But when Steve McRae told me that if a syllogism is logically valid, it must be believed to be true. I kind of went,
Yep.
He had SJ on the other night. It was interesting.
Well, this is interesting, Kafai. This is like, I don't think you should have put your finger in any of these things.
Careful where you put your finger. You might
or your foot. Anyway, you can
wash it afterwards. 'Cause
yeah. I don't know.
And the unnamed one was covering it as well. I think everybody has, everybody was covering it. I mean, Joe covered it, Eddie covered it, Jay covered it. The other
no,
Jay,
I didn't. Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't touch it.
I just felt so.
It's plenty of stuff out there. So
I felt sorry for Derek. I felt
oh
like,
my God, Cafe. Cafe. If a syllogism is logically valid, it doesn't mean it's true.
Then it's
you can have a logically, if it's believed to be true, that's one thing. But you can have a logically valid syllogism where all the premises work with the conclusion, but none of it is true. Just like I can give a logically valid syllogism for why there is a rainbow-colored unicorn that shits gold bricks in my backyard.
Yep, it's not sound. Cafe. Yeah, the word is sound. That's what you're looking for. You're not looking for valid. Logically valid covers a whole lot of equations, but sound is what you're looking for. The premises are true, or you accept the premises as true, and it's
I'm trying to critique. I'm trying to quote what you just said about your yes. Well, it wasn't really a criticism. It was just I dismissed it because when he first said it, I kind of went, huh? And then I had to think about it for a while. And then I got a Logic 101 book, and there's a nice little section in the book that says, by the way, this is how logical syllogisms work.
Yep. They amount to a hill of beans. Most syllogisms that people come up with, and they claim are arguments because there's something wrong with the premises. And when you get to rhetorical logic, which is, I used to have a book, and I can't find it, called Rhetorical Logic, but it dove really deep into, like, when you pop out that first premise, how many sub premises and little concepts are in that, the way it reads rhetorically.
Yeah, you can have implied. You can have implied premises within a premise. Yeah, but there's
they call them what the hell they call them? Some kind of meme. Shit.
Implied.
Oh
no. And Scott is here. And Scott is here. Scott is here. Hello, Scott.
Scott is here.
What call did I join while I was asleep?
You're in the
cult.
Did
you get your badge?
You're in the woke cult. You're in the woke cult.
I got my badge. Must have got messed up in the administrative side of things.
Yeah, the Illuminati intercepted it at the post office, probably.
We're
and
woke
usually
atheists.
The hats and T-shirts are too small for me. Anyway.
Katie. That's the thing, right? I mean, ultimately, there's a lot. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube, and there's a lot of channels that we've stuck our noses into, and then it's like Jim Boob, and then it's like, okay, well, I don't want to watch this anymore. The fun, it was only fun for a minute. Oh, here's the latest, Big Mouth, right? And then it's like, okay, move on to somebody else, and then as far as obviously, if you don't like what they're saying, which we found out we don't like a lot of what he was saying, it wasn't just stuff about atheists, it was about a lot of other people's. And then it's like, yeah, okay, you probably should, walk away from it. So there you go.
The reason I felt sorry for Derek is because I know he's an addict. And what I got out of that whole plea that he did is what we're looking at is some untreated alcoholism. is what we call it. Basically, once you sober up, then you have to grow up. And he put this, he popped this Price video just out of the fucking blue. And I looked at it and I thought you broke up with this dude. And then he goes on and he does this big, long appeal, about how hurt he is that people got mad at him. What the fuck did you think was going to happen? I mean, I felt bad for how naive he is.
He is an emotional person.
That's
he's
good.
done it before. His emotions, come out, and I think a lot of that, was in that. And
Jesus Christ.
I think most people aren't prepared for threats against their family or kids.
Yeah, and that gets you
obviously
going.
Well, that's one of those obvious things, right? Yeah, that's one of those obvious things, like when the politicians say, "I'm for law and order," and it's like, well, nobody wants the criminals running rampant on the streets. It's one of those things. Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, the people, obviously, that would do anything like that. Same thing, when somebody said something about somebody of my family pictures or something on Facebook, and it's like,
but I mean,
like, you're talking about my cousin for,
when you get into this, when you're putting out public videos, like this Jason Ezard a long time ago, he was telling me and I forget who the other guy was, Immutable Destiny. He was telling me and Immutable Destiny that he was going to get the Mexican mafia to come and kill us, right?
Yeah,
and it's like, that's a pretty fucking bad threat, right?
Jason,
I mean, but did I go on and whine about the entire atheist community at all, or the entire Christian community? No, I didn't. It was this.
Oh, that's all. That's all you got. That's all you got
from Jason Ezard. Oh, I got a lot more.
Oh, I was gonna say he threatened to rip. He threatened to rip my head off. He threatened to rip my head off and shit down my throat. Shit down my.
Don't forget what Sal said. Sal,
he tried to steal that line.
Yeah, he's
not cool enough for that.
And then whenever he would, but what would really get him going is because he's from Tasmania and he'd start going on and on like that. I'd start going.
Sal put Mike's name and Jay Bundy's name on a piece of paper and put it in a safe deposit box in case anything ever happened to him.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that's what he said.
He made a video about it, remember?
Yeah.
He wanted everybody to know if something happens to me, there's a paper in a safe deposit box.
He's that important to me, man.
There's a USB drive that automatically gets shipped to the post.
Yeah,
telling them of my demise. It must have been if I've been disappeared, it must be because of this person.
Yeah,
I want to make sure I caught up here. We're talking about what's his face that talked to Dillahunty, right? Is that what this was?
Who? Oh,
which
Peterson?
one?
Jordan Peterson?
No.
We're
not talking. No. This is Derek. This is Derek Lambert of Myth Vision, and apparently, from what I understand, some time ago, a few years ago, Robert Price was found out to have basically he's a bit of a racist, I guess. And
he leans right.
Yeah,
he's really not racist. He hasn't said like a single racist.
Oh no. Come to find out, he was part of a group of, because he's a Lovecraft fan, and some of the writings that he was doing as part of being a part of this Lovecraft fan group, they kicked him from the group because his writings were too racist for them.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
I would be shocked. I would want the evidence.
Yeah, but either way, so there's a lot of this going on. But either way, Derek had basically decided he wouldn't, having Bob Price on his show was problematic. So he no longer had him on, and now he's got him back and all this other stuff.
Yeah, and he did it suddenly without any fanfare, without any introduction, didn't he? He just popped him off.
I remember watching one of those sessions between Neil and Derek that they do, and amongst the talking about pretty cool stuff about ancient, texts and things like that, he mentioned Bob Price and said that he really feels bad because he looked to Robert Price as another father figure. So there is an emotional thing.
Yeah, he's a friend. He's a
Where
friend.
maybe he wants
Yeah,
to be reunited with him.
Yeah, except
and is
except
looking
there's-
for a reason to give to do it. And
yeah, but
maybe
from what I heard, Derek also paid him to be on his channel, which is kind of weird to do with a friend.
Yeah.
Well,
so you
he
guys
was
don't know about the most
he's advertising his financial distress, Bob Price. So he's looking. I think he was looking at that as a way of helping him.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. Either way, yeah, I'd heard about it, and when I listened to when Derek released that 15-minute video. I listened to maybe like the first 3 to 5 minutes of it, and then just started basically nodding off and went, "No, don't care, bye."
Yeah.
You guys don't know the
care.
most recent installment to this drama, then, do you?
Oh no, drama. What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So,
do I want to know?
well, I mean, it's part of this. If we're talking about it, I don't know. It won me $5.
What's that?
It won you
me
$5. So
Oh,
there was
good.
a pool. Neat.
Oh,
Yeah,
pool.
I'm sure everyone knows who Gnostic Informant is if you know who Myth Vision is.
Yep.
Like they're
Yeah.
like best buddies.
Neil.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Gnostic Informant
That's
is
the
on
Neil
Twitter.
that you were referring to.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's Neil.
is on,
Yeah,
is
Neil
on Twitter
Sidlack.
arguing with people, ends up arguing with Matt Dillahunty, ends up going on Matt Dillahunty's show.
Saw that too.
Right? Matt Dillahunty's a giant asshole. I'll say that right now. He shouldn't have done it. That was stupid. But anyway, he goes on and reviews his interaction with Matt Dillahunty on his channel. Titan,
Okay.
I'm sure everyone here knows Titan.
Uranus?
Yep.
Titan Uranus.
I warned them when they made Titan a mod how Titan was. So last night when they were reviewing the interaction with Matt Dillahunty, Titan goes on a tirade in the chat and just starts banning people.
Oh,
Yeah. You do have to be careful about that with Titan. Yep.
yeah. Wow.
He did that on. That's not the first time they've done that.
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah.
Titan wants to enforce a political ideology he has. It's not a good mod. Stop modding him.
Yeah.
But I think there was one place where he didn't do it, and that's when he was still a mod over at Nate's channel. He just decided that he wasn't going to be a mod on Nate's channel anymore.
He's probably a mod on my channel. Everybody is.
Nate being Nate the lawyer.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I know. I know. There's no way he's going to be a mod on Nate's channel anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
he gave it.
there's-
He gave it up. It wasn't stripped from him. He actually, from what if I remember, a Titan told me he wrote Nate an email and said, "Yeah, I'm not. I don't like the content that you're doing. I can't be a mod on your channel. I'm not going to be a mod on your channel." See ya.
Yeah.
And they just parted ways. I think I'm still a mod on Nate's channel, but
Which Nate is this again?
Nate the lawyer.
Okay, I don't guess I've ran across this stuff very much.
Yeah.
What does his name used to be?
Oh,
Back
why
in
am I
G
blank?
Plus.
Yeah,
He probably knows him from that other name.
yeah.
Yeah. Kafai
Why am
doesn't
I-
like Matt Dillahunty much. I wonder why.
I've
Yeah,
got to
Cafe,
ask.
you bringing up Matt
do you-
Cafe's triggered now. He's here we go. My favorite person in the world.
The mustache
Dillahunty.
look makes him look really old. I think he needs to go back to the
Why am I
goatee
blanking?
thing.
Why am I
Matt has a
blanking on-
mustache.
He shaved everything but the mustache,
Okay.
and I don't know. It makes him. I don't know.
So,
when I saw it, I just saw him look
it helps
really
keep his
old.
up, well, it helps keep his upper lip full when he takes his top dentures out to speak. 'Cause he's got dentures. He's got dentures in his top grill now.
So
Hey, I'm not
here's
going to say anything. I just had a crown redone yesterday. My teeth are crap, so I mean.
So here's the
sucks.
thing. I have people in my family and close friends, and somebody who is like a son to me, and these people are mega fucking spewing Trump supporters, and some of them are Christian fundamentalist creationists, and some of them are bigoted as shit. And I mean, I love these people, and you can't get by that part. I mean, it really rips you apart when this happens, when somebody starts spewing bad shit, and you love them, and you're, you know, and maybe Derek is in that position with Robert Price, and it's and we can't sit around and fucking judge other people and what they do with their relationships. What we can judge, do you know what we can and should judge? Ourselves. That's who the fuck we should judge, right? I mean, you don't know what's going on in all this stuff.
I think
I'm gonna allow him a little
you know?
space.
Yeah, there's hurt feelings because it was kind of like,
Yeah.
you know, like, okay, this person, you know, isn't welcome. You know what I mean? And now they're welcome back. But what did they do that, you know, we should welcome them back, right? And I think that's one of the questions. It doesn't seem like there was anything that changed. So
Well, yeah, if there was some intellectual content, but then what I heard from other biblical scholars is that he really doesn't have anything new to offer. So you know, it was just maybe a bad move, but I'm not going to sit around and hate him for it. I mean, why the hell should we hate anybody for any of this shit, right?
But
yeah,
I'm just assuming he brought him back into the fold because I think they live like within a couple blocks of each other.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And
maybe he was trying to get more views, or maybe he's trying to get a different demographic. Because when he came up with the atheist cult thing, though, I will tell him he's an asshole for doing that.
I know. I agree with him. I agree. There's an atheist cult. It's not every atheist.
There is.
But there's an atheist cult. Yeah.
Well, there's probably a lot of atheist cults, you know.
No, the one he's referring to, it exists.
Oh, well. It's a group of people who think a certain way and basically agree with each other, and they're going to go after other people. That's not exactly.
Remember, you would get. Remember, in the atheist cult, you would get schisms. You'd have people. You had the atheists that sided with Steve McRae, and then you had the atheists that were not for Steve McRae.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then there's reformists, and then
yeah. But I mean, he didn't have to call it an atheist cult because he offended me, and I was one of his fans.
He didn't offend me. I just rolled my eyes and went, "Okay, buddy, here we go."
Well, he probably shouldn't. Yeah. He probably shouldn't have offended you because you're probably not in the cult, right?
I don't know. Maybe I am.
I didn't get my badge or a hat or anything.
I'm in the woke cult. I'm definitely woke. Woke.
Got a Bigfoot hat.
Oh no!
I got a Bigfoot hat though.
Woke is ironic. That means you're asleep.
Yeah, I'm fully woked. Most nights I'm even woked.
I'm in the I need more sleep cult.
That's it. I try to be not woke, but it just don't work. I roll around and it's like,
I think in modern internet culture, I'm what's called an enlightened centrist.
Enlightened centrist. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's hard to be anything else if you're a liberal.
Yeah. I'm a little toward the center.
Is there an independent agency that you can go to that will actually certify you as enlightened?
No, I don't think so.
We need these things.
Yeah. Yeah, because anybody can just say they're enlightened. I'm an enlightened fascist, you know.
Oh no, I think the term is sort of tongue in cheek in that it's saying in the title that everyone else sucks.
Yeah.
You know, if you say everybody else sucks, you know, statistically, you're probably going to be right.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Try to do better, people. That's all you got to do.
Well, I'm actually going to step out of here. I've got to take the cat to the vet. So I will.
Oh, no.
Oh, he's not sick or anything. Oh, he's. I want to get him checked out for a food intolerance because he's for some reason he's of this. I'm gonna puke at least twice a day for no fucking reason. So
that's what cats do.
That's what cats do. That's their job.
We've tried everything, and she still barfs. And
Yeah,
my
they eat
son
enough-
and my son's learned to imitate it now to mess with my wife. So from the other room, he'll
no.
go,
Yeah, and they do that. They do that. They do that fucking crazy noise. Yeah. I'm gonna throw up. I'm gonna throw up, and it's like,
Yeah.
and usually they're on my newsprint pad when they start doing it. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Never on the tile floor. They're always on the carpet.
Oh yeah, the carpet is her favorite. Like Jesus Christ.
Got to be on the carpet.
Yeah. So, well, I'm going to get him checked out whatever way I can, because I've tried slow feeder bowls, tried different.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't switched around his food, but this guy is like got the only food that he really gets excited over is like the little packets that you get of like the whipped gravy, like the tuna salmon flavored gravy things. He goes, I mean, he recognized those things by package, right? He goes nuts. But like the kibble that I give him, Origin cat food and Origin canned, which is like high quality fucking shit. He just does not seem to give. I mean, he eats it, but he like, okay, whatever.
I got
Then you got the feral cats out there eating garbage, and they live to be 20 some years. That we had one around here that seemed like it was never going to pass away. It lived forever, and it's out eating garbage and never seen a vet.
Okay, go give your kitty a hug for me, Jay, and we'll see you later. Thanks for stopping.
Yep, take
by.
care of the kitty.
Take care of the kitty.
See ya.
All right, Jay.
See you, Jay.
Anyway.
Yeah, every once in a while I get a little upset with the barf, and I say, how do you cats keep living if you barf? You barf too much.
Yeah.
And the
I got
memes
two-
are everywhere,
They
always
have all
on the
that fur to
carpet,
barf up,
it's yeah.
They have all that fur to barf up, so when they do that, then they can go back to eating. But,
I think that's why they. I think that's why they do it. They barf up fur because they're always licking themselves. And
Oh, and it chews
I
on
get
the plants too. It chews on my wife's
Oh, yeah,
plants,
they-
and then
yeah,
you
and then
got
they throw up.
green barf. Yeah,
and
that's
I think they
because
do
they're
that on
into that
purpose.
naturopathy, whatever they call it. They believe plants are medicine.
Yeah, I think they do that on purpose. They eat grass to throw up. I've seen dogs do it too.
Cats have an attitude.
Maybe we should start. We should probably do it more. I mean, I haven't thrown up for a long time. I should probably do it every couple of days.
I'm gonna barf right in her sleeply spot and see how she likes it.
Yes. Right on top of them while I'm petting them. I was like, here, you little bastard. Oh, God. Anyway. Oh, shit.
So,
So-
have you challenged Bread of Life to give your evidence for evolution, Mike? I noticed you were in the chat over there.
Sent a whole bunch of emails to Bread, and she's not responding to me. I don't know why. She just all she said is that she asked her Christian friend to pray for me with her, so that I find God because I'm hopeless, is what she said. So I'm kind of taken aback by that. I didn't think I was hopeless. Anyway.
Well, I was just it was interesting though, because kind of was wondering what was up with Bread, not the big deal or anything, but then I noticed there she is popping up in the chat with new evolution challenges. Bring it.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, here we
Bring
go.
it.
You didn't learn the
I like
last time.
Yeah. Yep. I should probably do some creationist content because I got a bunch of stuff I want to do on the probability thing, on the chimp identity thing. I've got a whole bunch of I've been studying evolution of particular kinds of proteins, and holy shit, when you do that, you understand what they mean by overwhelming evidence for evolution. When you start looking into the details of the molecular biology of what's going on. And then you listen to these hopeless assholes, creationists, come up with their stupid little back of the envelope calculations. And you realize that they don't know not even a slight little figment of what I know. And they're sitting there thinking that they have just taken the entire field and turned it on its head. And why are people like that? What do they think they know something when they absolutely know nothing about the subject?
Speaking of in the know, PZ's back to making videos. He took a little
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
he took a little break, and he's back making stuff again.
Yeah, he's on what do they call it? He's taking a vacation this year from teaching, I think. What do they call that?
Hiatus,
Sabbatical.
sabbatical.
Yeah. I call it fucking off. I don't know.
Yeah, that's. I said something about, well, can you make my dentist appointment for Thursday, right? And she goes, well, starting on a certain date, he's going to have Thursdays off, and I'm like, oh, must be nice.
Yeah. So when I was really, really young and homeless, I ended up having to work for 3 or 4 days a week for the park department because I was getting $70 a month from the government. And so I went to work, showed up for work, and they put me in this big dump truck with this seedy old man. And our job was to go out and pick up branches around town or something like that. So we're like picking up branches, and then all of a sudden he pulls into this parking place, and he just sits there, like not saying anything, not doing anything, just sits there staring straight ahead. And after, I got a little bit nervous. I didn't know what he was going to do to me. I don't know what his plans. I don't know if this is a date rape situation or what was going on. So after about 10 minutes, I looked over and said, what are we doing? And he looks over at me and says, fucking off. And I'm like, oh, this is so much fun.
I come down the road over here, and we had taken the truck in to get the recall thing fixed on it, so my passengers are safe now. I've got a new airbag, so it's all taken care of, passengers.
Oh.
And, so we're coming back, and I noticed there was a cone in the road, and there's a piece of exhaust pipe laying there, and they put a cone by it, and I'm like, okay. And then, okay, maybe they just do that, and they say, hey, come pick this up, And then the next couple of days, we went back through there the same way because we went and picked up the truck, and then I go to the dentist over that way. So I've been backing through on the same road for days now, and that pipe's still sitting there with a cone. So, I was this close to stopping and picking it up. I really was. It's like, seriously, you couldn't throw this in the back of your truck? You put a cone there? There's the city workers for you.
Here's something interesting. And so every atheist must eventually realize he has to rise above all his concepts of God before he can have an experience of God, what I referred to as a mystical experience. Now, Kafai, when you say that, I want you to go and meditate on that. And I want you to take 57 grams of mushrooms and think about this concept of God that you have and realize that what you're talking about is the experience itself. There is no thing that you can call God because, as you just admitted here, you cannot have a concept of God. So if you don't have a concept of God, there ain't one. And you don't need one to have a mystical experience. So you got to take maybe 74 grams of mushrooms before you're going to see this.
Yeah. And I could make up my own definition for God and say that, I found God in nature or something like that. It doesn't then equate to the Yahweh or something with the magic zoo boat and all that kind of nonsense. When people talk about God, it's usually one of the major religions, and then you got to equate all the baggage that goes along with it. If you're going to define God as an experience you have when you're in a state, then that doesn't do anybody any good either, any more than the prophets that God is whispering to in their sleep. Doesn't do us any good. We're still atheists because if you don't have the experience, if God isn't whispering to you, if you don't have magical powers on down the list, you're pretty much atheist. That's all. And as others have pointed out, you can be religious and be atheistic towards other religions as well because you don't believe in their gods.
Well, if you keep abandoning any concept of God you have, eventually you end up in this back room where there is a bridge between atheism and naturalism and the religious, right? It's only when you have dogma of any kind about this God. If you try to
Right.
say, if you try to even say the word, you're adding dogma to the God thing. You're trying to reify it or make it a thing, and you're not having a mystical experience. So if you're having a proper mystical experience, you're going to be more like an atheist or an agnostic than you're going to be anything else. And that's the really fascinating thing about when you take like the Christians will occasionally say that there's no way that they can really know God's will or know the greatness of God, or they can't get their mind around God because they're just, little blips of protoplasm, slaves of God or whatever. And if you follow that thought pattern through and you say, okay, I don't know anything about God, nothing, zero, it's completely empty, you end up a Buddhist, where you have the empty mind. You have no concept of this thing at all. You're just experiencing it. And if you're a naturalist, you understand, if you do want to bring some dogma into it, you understand that you are an organism and you are having a fucking experience of being alive in this universe. And that's all you need. You don't need to go around and blather about atheists and bitch at them. Kafai, you don't need to bitch at atheists. Anyway.
If I don't have
any sense to anybody?
Yeah, if we don't have the experience and it's nothing personal, because supposedly, especially the Abrahamic God makes it personal. If you're not having that personal connection somehow,
that's
and then the only other option is, well, when you die, you know what I mean? Well, then we'll find out.
That's the thing, Dave. I have had this experience that they talk about, but I haven't believed in anything. So you can have all kinds of experiences. You're a chunk of meat. You're going to experience shit, right? So I mean, you can have the experience. You just don't have any of the belief. Belief is the opposite of faith.
Debate Me Bro was just in on one of the comments the other day. I was on something. I don't know where I was, but I said, I'll grant you your God. I'm past arguing over prove my God doesn't exist. I said, I'll grant your God. I'll grant your God lives outside of our time, outside of our universe, outside of our dimension, outside of our understanding. And if all those things are true about it, then it has absolutely nothing to do with me.
Don't exist.
What's the difference, right? If it exists or if it doesn't exist, or if it only exists outside of our universe and outside our time, outside our dimension, outside our understanding, outside of all these things, then it's completely outside of our reality by the description I keep hearing.
So he says wisdom, understanding, counsel, fortitude, knowledge, piety. I'm with you so far. And then you say fear of the Lord. What the fuck does that mean?
It's right from the Bible.
What the fuck does that mean, fear of the Lord? What do you want to fear him for? What do you want to fear the cosmos for? I mean, Jesus. Okay, so then he's Jay is still talking.
You'll get wrapped.
Jay, quit texting and driving. Take care of your kitty. Kill your kitty. Kill your kitty.
And we got Biff Bifferson in the chat. That's
Biff Bifferson.
Biff Bifferson.
Oh, that's from Back to the Future. Biff.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think everybody thinks that when you hear Biff.
Yeah. Yeah, so the thing I've been trying to get across to Christians all my life is that I've had this goddamn experience. I know what you're talking about. I just don't have to believe in anything. And it's like, and they keep saying, oh, you must have not had the right experience, right? No.
Are you referring to the no true Scotsman fallacy? You're not a true Scotsman.
Yes, exactly. I get it all the time.
Hey, Scott, you're the Bible scholar for the moment. I was going to ask Jay, but let me ask you. To be saved and be with Jesus and go to heaven and everything, what do you have to do?
Well, it depends on what denomination you are. That has been interpreted so many different ways. I will tell you, as a Southern Baptist, I would tell people you have to repent of your sins and trust Jesus for salvation, and invite him into your hearty heart, and he will save you, and that's it. And you are good for the rest of eternity, because Southern Baptists, and I was a Southern Baptist, believed in, they call it crudely once saved, always saved, but it was called eternal security. You're safe in your relationship with God. Nothing you do, nothing can ever separate you from God again.
That's what I said. The question was, they were having this Q&A, and it was really terrible. That was my comment anyway. It was really terrible. The question was, what about people that have never heard about Jesus? And they gave this long rambling answer that basically said, well, God is just and fair and everything. So, so it's like, now wait a minute. So then you don't have to know anything about Jesus or the Bible or anything, and you can still go to the afterlife and say, well, you're all right, and still get into heaven. So then that directly contradicts my understanding, is that, yeah, you have to repent and you have to believe something about Jesus, that he's the Son of God, he was resurrected, super smart guy, whatever you want to do. There has to be something about Jesus, and you have to repent to be saved.
Now, if you tried to break it down a little more subtly for people, and I don't mean a whole lot more subtly, I just mean a little more, you would make people aware of sin, of how we are corrupt and steeped in original sin, and that Jesus on the cross was our substitute. He paid the price for our sin, and so on and so forth. And you would have to be truly sorry for your sins. So you would have to, like, at some point, involve the sin idea. But that was the basics.
But it does kind of leave out people that don't do that, right? I mean, if you don't believe in Jesus, or you didn't repent, that's kind of what you have to do to so-called get your card, right? So you go right into heaven. Now, the question was, what if you never heard about him? And then they're just saying, well, God is just. And it's like, well, if your God is just, then I don't think I have anything to worry about. I don't think I've done anything that bad.
Now, what they would also say is that they will everybody will get a chance to repent. That's what I've heard. Now, I'm not saying there's a biblical basis for that or anything. It's just that there was that idea going around. Well, everybody, even the person who hasn't heard, will get a chance to repent and choose Christ.
But is that what after death though? Because they generally say,
it's kind of a magical thinking thing. Like, I want God to be just to everybody. You see, the real thing is, the Baptist faith kind of came out as an offshoot of the Church of England. And so England, being Britain and all that, the colonialists, they didn't give a shit about what other people felt or thought, or they just were cared about being right in their own eyes. And so, if you were a Catholic and a colonialist, you would go out and, you would get these tree branches that had lots of branches and lots of leaves and soak them in water and splatter the water all over the indigenous people you were conquering. And suddenly they're Catholics. And so that takes care of that issue there. They would assign them a priest, and there'd be a priest in the area, and then they would go in and just really go hard at them, and if they tried to keep their traditional gods and religions, they might kill a few of them for it. Otherwise, they would just sort of make the local gods into saints of some sort. But with the Baptists, it was just, you just have to go out and tell them God is just, he'll do the right thing. But we know that we're under the command to go out and make disciples. And so that was kind of the attitude. Don't sit around and worry about the ones that haven't heard. Go out and make sure they hear. Which, of course, logically, if you think about it, you're condemning them to hell if you believe if they're innocent and safe until they've heard the message and been given a chance to reject it. Then you don't want to go out and tell them the message, because they might reject it. I mean, they're going to heaven if you don't tell them. Possibly, And so and that's just from my Southern Baptist viewpoint, my sampling of other Southern Baptist or evangelical types. Others, believe that to be saved, you have to repent of your sins and everything, and then live a good life past that point. And if you screw up, you ask forgiveness for your sins and get back on track. And that's their idea. whether theologically there's asking forgiveness again is covered by the same blood that initially saved you. I don't know.
Well, ultimately, though, all religions, though, ultimately, it's to follow the guidelines of the religion, to do the things, to do the prayers, to whatever you need to do, so that you can get in with their afterlife. But when pressed on it about people that have never heard, then it doesn't seem to matter, because I've heard it from Islam too, is that, well, Allah just automatically assumes everybody's Muslim, right? So that's how they get around. Well, even the people that haven't done it, you will still so-called be judged, right? So again, it always seems like, so you don't have to, in the end, you're saying you have to do all these things to get in. But if you don't do all those things, God is still just. And then, so then it doesn't make any sense why you have to do all these things to so-called be good with God, if you don't have to do those things, but you can still be judged as, good enough to still get in the afterlife anyways, right?
Yeah. So do you know what I do?
Hi, Ryan. How you doing?
Like when some people go out, they go out and do some heavy exercise, they'll bring like some aspirin or an EpiPen or something like that. What I bring is a little bit of holy water, a cross, and a little statue of Jesus in case I get a chest pain. Then I'm going to ask forgiveness right before I die, so that I can sin all the way up until then. It's just
put some garlic up over your doorway and.
Yeah. But you got to have that little kit, that little come to Jesus kit. When you get the old grand chest pain, and you're going down, it's like Jesus. So
well,
anyway, Rebecca doesn't have to worry about me.
Yeah, well, they've talked about that, right? You can actually, get a priest or minister, pastor, whoever, rabbi, whoever it may be, and on your deathbed, and you can. So then again, so you can live your whole life. Just then, on your deathbed, even if you screwed up, didn't follow the things, didn't do the prayers and everything else, you can still do a little magic prayer right before your last breath and still be in. Right. So again, the answer for what if you're following the wrong religion, or if you've never heard about the religion, ultimately comes down to, well, if you're good enough, you're still in anyways. And then why have the dogma in the first place? Why don't you just say, hey, try not to be a jerk and you'll be okay. Right. That's what it's coming down to.
I like these two precepts. And if I'm going to be in a cult, it's got to have these two precepts. Don't be a dick, and be excellent to one another. Yeah, I stole that one. I stole that one. But that's
the woke cult. That's called being woke, Scott. So you're in the woke cult.
But I thought woke.
Oh no, it's not. That's the opposite.
Oh really? Woke is the opposite?
If you're those things, you're not woke.
I thought woke was giving a shit about people. I don't know.
No. Woke is separating people into fuck you and not fuck you.
Oh, well, I do that too, but guess I ain't so woke.
Yeah, but is it like 90% of your personality?
Well, there's a lot of people I won't fuck, so I don't know.
Oh, then you're fine.
Yeah. But I got a lot of fuck you people, but still, I mean, I would, I'd brake for them. Like if they ran in front of my car, I would step on the brakes. So am I woke if I step on the brakes?
No.
You're so woke. Gosh.
So woke has become the opposite of the principles that woke used to be. So now we're going to redefine.
Yeah, pretty much.
Woke, you're supposed to be aware. Yeah, you're supposed to be aware of injustices, and then it was kind of for racial injustices, and it got expanded to just injustices, right? It shouldn't be for whoever it is. It should be injustices.
And then it morphed into white people are the devil.
Yeah. now we're the devil. Yeah.
Yeah. So it stopped being about, basically not being racist and started being about being racist.
Hey Ed, you got Ed in the chat. There's a former preacher. He knows all too well.
Being racist against racists. I mean, that is a horrible
thing. No, being racist against white people. It doesn't matter if you're a racist white person.
No, racist against white people. Okay.
Yeah. Whether the white people are bad or not, it They're just all together.
Well, that kind of defines my entire life. I've always had a self-esteem problem. So
The rabid atheist, Ed. People do work hard to get their loved ones into heaven. Sometimes those loved ones fail, and I have preached the funeral for a person that I pretty much figured was in hell. And what I basically did was took aspects of their personality that were more or less like what people believe Jesus to be, and would say, "Oh, this reflects this in their life, and they were like this, and he was this way, and that just reminds me of Psalm 20 whatever." And because and so no, you never say that they're in hell, but you try to say nice things about them anyway. And kind of the approach.
Yeah, that was the thing. I didn't want anybody to say anything about my mother that didn't know my mother, and the priest was really cool. He said something, and I said, "Hey, don't worry about it." I didn't know your mom or anything, and I said, "Don't worry about it. I got the eulogy. You're just here to do the prayers." He goes, "Got you covered," and we were good to go. So I did the talking, and he did the ceremony. We had it down.
And of course, I no longer believe anybody is in hell, because I just don't think there's any reason to believe such a thing exists.
My mother had the Catholic things. She said she wanted to be buried with her rosary, everything. So I made sure she got the last rites and the prayers and everything, because that's what she wanted. So I made sure it was taken care of.
that really pissed me off at my mom's funeral. This minister got up and talked about her like he knew her, and he said all these things about her that were so not true.
Yeah.
It was just like,
no, I just told him basically, give me the sign when it's time for one of the prayers, because I'm not up on all the, the Catholicism and everything. So yeah, he just gave me the sign and did the things, and we were good to go. I say I'm, an evil atheist and everything, but, I respected my mother's last wishes, and we respected my brother's too. When my brother passed, he wanted to be cremated, and he didn't want no churchy religious music. He wanted Metallica. So guess what? We played Metallica.
yeah, I actually wore a suit to my father's funeral. And if you know anything about me, I hate suits.
But I didn't wear a suit, but I put on a tie. I did put on a tie, yes.
Do you know where I got the suit? I got it out of my father's closet.
Yeah, I didn't. Not a suit, but I did put on a tie out of respect, because it's the thing to do. You don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. It's just that's.
Yeah, so
I think I'm going to come up with a plan for my son. Or when I do pass away, and I know I'm using the euphemism for die, but when I do die, I don't want a church funeral. I don't even want a funeral home chapel funeral. I just want something by the graveside, because that's where I'm going to end up anyway. And I want a 6th grader who's like just starting out to play the trumpet badly. Play.
There you go.
How Great Thou Art, or something like that, just badly. And then maybe the Old Gray Mule or something like that. That was just part of their beginning. I just want somebody to play the trumpet badly, because you know how many times we've been in a situation where somebody gets up in front of a group and you're just stuck there and they're awful and you can't get up and walk away because that would be rude or discouraging or whatever. I just want because of the irony, the humor of it. Play the trumpet.
You could probably contact like the local grade school or something that has a music class, and
I don't want their worst student. I want like their C student, one of their C students to come out and play the trumpet.
That would be neat.
So I want Halls of Illusions by Insane Clown Posse played at my funeral. So.
You want the cars in the parking lot to be burnt down?
The what?
You want the cars in the parking lot to be burnt down?
No, but I do want Fago. So I want them to throw Fago on everybody. So anyway.
I think we played Wherever I May Roam for my brother. And at my mother's, she was a big Elvis fan. So I played Elvis song for my mom. The funeral homes are pretty cool now. They're all they've got the big database and everything and the audio system, and they give you the list, so or you can bring in your own and they'll pop it in, and yeah, great audio and everything, and had the music playing and stuff, and it was nice. Better be for the price. But nice folks. I mean, it's a difficult job. I wouldn't want to do it. Funerals are expensive, but I mean, not everybody's equipped to deal with the deceased and all the.
If I had my way, I would just have somebody put me through a wood chipper, like on Fargo, and be done with it. I don't want to be an expense to anybody, so I don't want to be a hassle either. Like, why should somebody take off of their schedule to come sit in an uncomfortable setting, in an uncomfortable suit or something? If they decide to wear a suit, I'm not going to make them wear a suit. Obviously, I'll be dead. Right. Why have them do that? Just do away with me, make mulch out of me, and I'm gone. I was gone long before they put me through the shredder.
They are having places with natural burials, and there's also a place that's composting people. I don't know how much it costs, but
yeah, the natural burial is something I really like. But anyway, the song I want from Great Milenko is "Pass Me By." It's not Halls of Illusion. So I got shot. The murder was heinous. The bullet went in my eyeball and out my anus. That one. And it's about God. It's a religious song. It is really religious. I wash my hair and my face and my butt crack with it because I can.
I told my boys to play Amazing Grace on the bagpipes because it's a Scottish thing. It's got nothing to do with a religious thing. It's just I don't know. It's one of those things they play, on the bagpipes at funerals, and it's just always been stuck in my head because of the Scottish blood, So that's just always been my thing.
I love the last verse of it is, does this excite you? Think about it. Does it not stagger the imagination? No builder on earth can conceive any structure to compare to the mansions above. Talking about heaven.
I don't want any lyrics. I just want some music. The lyrics are not what we playing. I could care less about the lyrics.
My lyrics are so important to me.
Lyrics would be, Jesus don't want me for a sunbeam. Sunbeams are never made like me.
When I Go by David Carter. Yeah. Anyway, okay, we got to get out of here, guys. We got to escape. We got to escape this place.
We got to skip the call. We're going to need some programming,
I got to get out of that call.
Feeling too woke. It's just the wokeness is overwhelming.
We'll be in the recovery cult for way too long.
Well, it's easy. You just repeat the mantra: "Skin color doesn't matter."
Skin color doesn't matter.
Yeah, it'll save you. That's the enlightened centrist prayer.
And
well,
if
my skin gets yellow, it's going to matter.
And let me hold on. Let's pull this up before we go. I've got the latest art here.
Oh yeah.
Here we go.
Where are you?
Here's the latest art.
I'm trying to see it. You got
There it is. It took a second to pop up. This Saturday.
Hey, hold on a second. Let me get rid of this. Okay.
There you go. This Saturday, we're going to return to Wayne. Wayne's got new content out, and we've covered Wayne a couple times before. We really like Wayne.
He's the guy who always looks like he's institutionalized.
Yeah.
Well,
he's one of them. He's not the original, but
he's
okay.
a little rough looking. A little rough looking. Yeah.
Wayne sounds like he should be institutionalized.
But we like Wayne. Wayne has this universal consciousness thing that can appear through your toaster, through your ketchup bottle, and it's a good time covering Wayne. So here's the thumbnail. He's going to tell us what the logical physics of God are, and
Oh,
of course,
logic. Means it ought to be that way if
Yeah.
everything is logical.
and we have, of course, toast, toaster, and ketchup bottle, and answers in atheism just had to be on the toast, right?
Does God manifest himself through Dijon mustard by any chance?
Well, the teaser is the first thing he's going to say is there's more evidence for God than there is for your toaster.
I just call bullshit on that from every direction.
Well, don't save the commentary. That's that's just letting everybody know you want to be there right at the beginning, because we're going to dive right into it. The first thing he says is there's more evidence for God than there is for your toaster. So this is
I
going to
wish
be
everybody,
deep, seriously deep.
I wish everybody listening right now would type a 1 in the comments if they've ever had a toaster catch on fire with them, whether it be the toast itself or somewhere in the toaster there was a flame for some reason. That would be good to know. Okay, I see a 1 from Answers in Atheism. So everybody can know this is you're not committing to anything. You're not going to be on a list. Okay, so we got a couple. Good. I'm
Every
feeling
now and then.
You got to empty that crumb tray. You got to empty that crumb
turn
tray.
your toaster upside down and shake it.
I have
Otherwise,
caused
you get
a
a
flame in a toaster in just about every dwelling I've ever lived in.
So make sure you stop by Saturday for Saturday Night at the Atheist, where you'll see often similar faces. Myself and Scott and Mike and other folks join us as well. You never know who will be joining us, because sometimes it's even a surprise to us. But we will be covering Wayne. I know Ed out there is excited to hear about Wayne. That's one of his favorites. And it's our favorite, and a lot of other folks. We had a lot of fun covering Wayne, and we plan to have a lot of fun covering Wayne on this episode Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern at Saturday Night at the Atheists.
Okay, boys and girls, we're ending. We're out of here. So goodbye, cruel world. We're leaving. Thank you all.
Goodbye, y'all.
Bye.